Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, Absolutely Non-League, the show dedicated to everything from the National League North, and National League South. And of course, as always, we are in collaboration with a fantastic podcast that is NL Full Time. First and foremost, I do want to apologise. I know we weren't on last week. I did have a cab meeting at Rochdale, and there was a few people who weren't available last week. That's why there weren't a show. But do not worry, we will provide the content. Today will be a good one. We are back, but of course, I couldn't do it alone. Ben, hello. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm hanging in there at the moment. I think just as well that we weren't on last week, considering we lost, so it wouldn't have been nice to talk about. So at least we've had a couple of wins since, really. But I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Really good. Excited to talk about, obviously, all things non-league. Even though it's only been a week we've had off, sometimes so much happens within that week. So I'm excited to talk football with you guys. I really am. Morgan, how are you? How's your Monday been so far?
Monday's been pretty chill. I'm good. I mean, spring's here, and it's that always bit of excitement when spring's here. I know the football season's kind of coming to an end, but the weather's getting better, and like you can look. There's always something to look forward to in spring, rather than like the deep dark bits of winter. So, no, I'm doing good. It's always nice to see some sunshine when you go outside.
Oh, good to hear. And of course, representing NL Full Time, Rob, how are you and how's your Monday been?
I'm good, thank you very much. Having a bit of a bad hair evening. Unlike these boys here, I haven't got I haven't got a wardrobe full of caps because hats just don't suit me at all. But I'm here. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't explain why, but it does feel like a while. I think we didn't do one last week, did we? Maybe I missed the week before. It feels like it's been ages. Really looking forward to it.
Oh, love that. And of course, another representative from NL Full Time. Joe, how are you and how's your Monday been?
Yeah, good start to the week. Probably a bit like yourself. I'm quite happy we didn't have one last week after the week that Torquay have had. But yeah, much happier now. At least I've got a win to talk about, and really looking forward to it.
It was really funny as well because as I was doing the graphics yesterday, I thought, right, how many games have we actually missed? And I thought, there's quite a lot that's happened, so we'll just stick to this game week. And obviously, I looked at some of the results and I thought, I'll definitely stick to just this game week. But of course, it's not just us. We have some amazing people in the chat as well. We have Chrissy's, but good evening all. Keeping an eye on 3 games tonight. National League South, Championship and Premier League. And he's put in those scores. Then we have Danny as well. Evening. We have Sean. Evening, everyone. Hope all is well. Hello, everyone. I'm loving all this chat, by the way. Thank you so much.
They must have missed us.
They really have missed us, haven't they? Really missed us. We've got Graham as well. I hope you're okay, everybody in the chat. We have Matt, evening, Sharon, and gang. How are we all doing? Very well, thank you. Excited to talk some football. I couldn't be bothered to travel to Chelmsford on a Monday. It's because you wanted to see us, didn't you, really? Steve, the ground is far from the station. Up the Dale, down the Ale. This is what I'm talking about. Another Dale fan. We're taking over. I'm joking. We need it because usually there's a lot of York fans in here. So retweet it, tag all the Dale fans in. But of course, we do have to start somewhere. And this week we are starting with National League South. Ben, shall I pass it over to you, National League South?
You certainly can. I think I'll pass it on the floor to anyone, really. Well, I'll come to you first, Rob. Any standouts for you from over the weekend in National South?
Yeah, my eyes are drawn to, and they often are, to be fair. I think it's no secret. I've got a second love, and that is Dorking Wanderers. And, they went 1-0 down to Ebbsfleet, who are in really good form. If Ebbsfleet had won that game, they'd have moved to within 3 points of Dorking. But Dorking turned it round. They won the game 3-1. That keeps them 5 points clear at the top of the table. And despite ridiculous adversity, and don't get me wrong, I know the other side of that is they've got the clout to be able to go out and get one or two other players in, but shorn of their entire forward line, they've managed to score 3 goals. And you will have seen probably guys that they signed late on loan. Sam Pearson, who we knew from Weston-super-Mare, and then he went to Eastleigh, followed his previous manager, didn't he, Scott Bartlett, who's since left, and obviously it wasn't working for him there. He came off the bench, and literally, I think, was it 16, 17 seconds or something, Joe? He literally skipped down the left wing, played a 1-2 and slotted it home. And that was really nice to see, because Dorking have had a bit of a new player sort of jinx going on this year, where they've signed someone and within that first game or two they've got injured. So that was a really, really big win for them. And when you look at how many teams are in the National League South title race, of course, last year there were 6 going into the final day. This year I think it's already less than 6. It was probably 4 or 5 at a push, and Ebbsfleet probably would have eased nicely into that pack with a win, but they didn't get it. And I think that's a terrific win for Dorking, who I hope to be going to see tomorrow evening at Enfield. It's the 3rd time I've tried to go to Enfield against Dorking. One was last year, and I'll let you into a secret. I didn't Google it very well, and I turned up at the wrong Enfield ground. I was on my way back from... Yeah, sorry. Really bad. It was a late thought. I was on my way back from Aldershot's game at Southend, turned up at the wrong place, and the game there had been just played, but it just finished. And then earlier this season, Dorking were due to play at Enfield, and it got postponed, and I was going to go to that. So 3rd time lucky tomorrow night. But that's my standout from the National League South.
I think it's a sign of champions as well. I reckon that they've come back from a goal down against a promotion rival at home, when it could have been so easy for them to sit back into an up, because they do sometimes come up with the odd result, Dorking, that sort of slips them up a bit, and then all of a sudden they're on the back burner a little bit. But again, that's tremendous character from Mark Whiteside, who I know is always a man to stay calm in those situations when it's not going for him. So yeah, that's big 3 points for him, without a doubt. Morgan, any standouts for you from National South?
Yeah, I have to go to the table. The Chippenham Dover game has quite a lot of implications on that. With Chippenham, obviously 2-1 win. They've won 3 of the last 5 now. The 93rd minute winner as well, very big, and it's not exactly a pretty goal. They're in the box, and it falls to a few different players before it's finally stabbed home by Chokwu, who is actually on loan from Worthing, which obviously they've won this weekend. I know we've spoken about their struggles this year. I don't know if he could have helped them, but that was a January loan move. And it's quite a big one, because when you look at the teams in and around the relegation zone, Chippenham the only one to win this weekend. Dover obviously being one that are 17th and lost, but like Salisbury didn't pick up points, and Farnborough didn't pick up points, and there's a few picked up draws like Salisbury with that 3-3, but Farnborough lost, and there's a few others that lost this weekend. So Dover probably safe. They're 11 points from safety now. They're on 46. Chippenham up to 35. So Dover probably okay. But I still think that's a really big one, because away from home, it's one that Chippenham needed to win to stay in this. They're 2 points from safety now. They should. Well, they've still got a very good chance of staying up. They've played 2 games more than Farnborough, 4 games more than Bath. So the games played might hurt them, because obviously we talk about how often games in hand can be a massive help or a hindrance. But no, that's a big win for Chippenham down at the bottom.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, because albeit the likes of Enfield and Bath have still got games in hand, and that is an old cliche that you'd rather have the points on the board, wouldn't you? Chippenham, I think, are finding form at the right time in the second half of the season, because first half of the season was a bit of a disaster for them. But look, we said before, I think Gary Horgan, the club have stuck with him. It could have been so easy for him to let him go, but they're well in the fight still. And like I think the only thing that might let him down is the fact that they played more games than everyone else. But I think Hampton and Salisbury played the same amount of games. Yes, they're 8 points off, but look, 7 games to go, 21 points to play for. It's still a lot of football and a lot of changes to happen. But I think if anyone can pull it out of the situation, it's definitely Gary Horgan. But I think that goal, certainly at the end of Dover, has just about kept their season alive, I think. But certainly going to need to follow it up, so there's no point doing it now. They've got to put in at least 3 or 4 more wins, I think, to have any chance of staying in the division. But we'll certainly see. Joe,
can I just really quickly address this, right? Because Mr. Famous himself, Mr. Top Liverpool Football Club content creator, Hassam, has just come in and said hi. Me and Hassam go way back, by the way, everyone, from when we first started doing Twitter Spaces. And bless him, he's come into the non-league football chat. So thank you so much for supporting us, Hassam. Really do appreciate it. And it's finally found my channel. I mean, we were trying to keep it on the lowdown so we didn't find us, but... I'm joking. Overwatch Del or whatever you guys say. Let's go. Oh, thank you so much, Sam. I do appreciate that. I'm so sorry, Ben. I just wanted to address it.
Small world of football community, isn't it? It's like a non-league world. Joe, any standouts for you from the weekend before we talk Torquay?
Before we talk Torquay, I think good win for Worthing. A bit of a statement, really, for them beating Chelmsford. Chelmsford have been one of the form teams in the league the last sort of 2 or 3 months, really kicking into gear. Obviously got that big win down at Playmore, and they had that game obviously against Dorking in midweek, which ended up a draw. I think Worthing, obviously they are backing Adam Hinchelwood to the hilt. They went out and signed 2 more strikers in the week, as if they don't already have enough strikers on their books. They went out and signed Ashley Naderson, and he took only 7 minutes to get on the score sheet for his first goal. Obviously reunites with the assistant at Worthing, who he was coached under at Sutton. And then perhaps the big signing in Victor Mikowski, who Slough fans have made a point of highlighting that I potentially may have put the mockers on this one. The fact that on Thursday I did a piece saying how brilliant he was and that he should get a big move. And then on Friday lunchtime, he got the move to Worthing. So, that Worthing are a decent side. They're backing Adam Hinchelwood. And yes, they had a little bit of a wobble, but I still think they'll be there or thereabouts. I don't think they'll win it because I've maintained probably for the last couple of months that Dorking are going to get over the line and they got that experience. But Worthing are finding a nice patch of form at just the right time and adding 2 real quality players in that forward line to their team is certainly going to help matters, because we haven't seen a great deal of Brad Dollahan. I know he's carrying a bit of an injury at the moment, so to add some further depth to their squad is really useful at this time. So good win for them against a team that equally, probably a week or so ago, you'd have said if they could have won both games against Dorking and against Worthing, could still be an outside bet for the title. So good win for Worthing.
But on the Chelmsford front as well, I don't know if anyone got the chance to see Angelo Harrop's interview after the game. He was very damning of their performance, wasn't he? I mean, maybe a little bit too honest, but I mean, do you feel like they need to hear it now at this stage of the season, really? It's such a big call to put his players, I wouldn't say throw his players under the bus, but he certainly put a lot of pressure on them. But I would assume it probably needed to happen, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that I would say with that is they obviously started the season really poorly, and I think Angelo Harrop is a manager that you're always going to get honesty from. And he was very honest in that opening half of the season, and it ultimately brought about the upturn in fortunes that they did. Yes, they added a couple of players, but sometimes as a footballer, you need a bit of tough love, and you need a couple of home truths. And I think he's probably in the right place to say that. Obviously, Chelmsford have been brilliant the last couple of months, but just because they've won 5-0 at Torquay and gone and got a draw against Dorking and put 7 or 8 past Bath, they haven't won anything yet. And I think that was kind of the message that he was trying to get across in his interview after the game, that they've won nothing yet. They're not even in the driving seat for that. So they still need to keep getting those wins and getting that performance level. I think that was the one thing he was really disappointed by, the fact that they have been so good of late, and then we're off their levels against Worthing. So, he's honest, but sometimes you need that from a manager.
Yeah, and I think as well, it'll be evident to see, obviously, at the time recording is currently 0-0 at the moment against Slough, in the next 45 minutes. These are the sort of games that they need to win. Oh, no. This is the thing. I mean, obviously, I'm praying for a Slough win, to keep our chances of the playoffs alive. I mean, I think it's fair to say that it's becoming a bit distant. But if you want to get in amongst that top 7, those are the sort of games on the Monday, Tuesday nights that they've got to win. So I think it's a big 45 minutes coming up. Obviously, we'll know more as the evening goes on. Shah, I'll put you on the spot actually. Any standouts for you from National South?
I have a feeling I know where she's going with this, just based
Go
off
on,
who she
then.
always talked about. If I had to guess, I thought you'd start talking about Hemel Hempstead or
No,
Emil,
do you
as
know
you'd say it.
what? I'm a change girl. I agree with what Matt said. A result from the heavens for Tonbridge Angels.
Yeah, it was a good.
Just any credit. I can't do it.
That's what you get for throwing me under the bus. Backfired. But yeah, Hemel Hempstead, obviously. Got to talk about Hemel, haven't we? Obviously, 2-0 win for them. We all like Hemel. I think Lee Allison's obviously doing a very good job, as we do say, don't we, on this podcast? But yeah, very, very good win for them. I'm just going to quickly, Ben, while we're here, just quickly go back to the chat, because we do have a match report from Steve. If my mouse works at any point, it would be great. But he's put Salisbury at home, and then he's mentioned terrible performance, to be honest. Not sure how we scammed 3 goals out of the game, but at least a 94th minute equaliser was great. And he's also mentioned that they do have, obviously, players missing now, which is obviously such a shame for them.
And the thing is, just quickly on that, because I was going to mention it linked to the Worthing result and obviously Makowski. We need to do a bit of number crunching. Joe, I think you could be the man for this. Is there a team at this level that have produced, not necessarily produced, but passed on as many players upwards as Slough Town in the last 12 months? It's ridiculous. Going right back to your Chambers, Perillion and Slavi Spav. And some of these players, we did know of them before and they were okay players, but then they go to Slough, they're elevated to another level and they move onwards and usually upwards. And I appreciate that Worthing isn't upwards in terms of a level. It probably is in terms of a level of expectation and where they should be, where they might be. But just for me, I mean, to have lost Makowski, who's been their top scorer, has been on fire, and still go out somehow, some way, Scotty Davis factor in there somewhere, and get 3 goals is phenomenal for Slough. I don't know how they continue to be competitive, losing almost every good player they ever have come through Slough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you mentioned Spazov and Chambers Parallon. We will obviously have Eden Pruti as well. He went to Sutton. And yeah, he's done a terrific job. I mean, I know the Slough fans, Steve, was it, that said that they'll struggle. They won't. I can categorically say they won't. They may in the short term, but Scotty Davis will find a couple more gems. He's already signed a centre-back recently, Arion Zabelli, who's a bit of an unknown, who I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do, similar to Eden Pruti. And Scotty Davis will put that team together. And on paper, you'd think, I don't recognise many of those names on there. But by the end of next season, you'll think, they're decent players, aren't they? So, he's doing a fantastic job for the budget that he's got there to always be it a Brighton of non-league or a Brentford.
Made me laugh.
Always managing to sell players and bring them in. He's doing a cracking job.
It must be such like a destination like club as well. Like you see, if you're a player and your contract's coming to an end, you'll have an agent saying, I can go here or here or here. There might be a National League club, there might be a 7th tier team, but you see what Scotty Davis does, and his man management skills must be absolutely fantastic. And the way that he provides a platform for players like Spazov, like Pruti, it must be such a thing of, you can go there, play there for 6 months a year. You play for someone who really cares about the club in Scotty Davis. He puts himself in every role possible, whether that's playing, coaching, managing, and then he can offer you a platform to move your own career on. It must just be you're a little bit further out of London. You're not, I don't know, a Dagenham or one of the other teams that are a bit close to London, but you're still going to get decent wages. You're still in a good kind of catchment area to move on. I think it must be such a kind of destination club who, yes, they're not at the top of the National League South, but they're in a solid position, and Scotty Davis will always be able to platform you.
Can't say this about Rochdale.
It takes long enough to get from one side of Slough to the other, let alone escape.
And I think that's one of the benefits as to why they always do fairly well. Obviously, you've got to give an enormous amount of credit to Scotty Davis and his coaching team for actually getting the best out of them. But that's one advantage that they have, is that people do see Slough as, you know, I'll sign for them, and in 6 to 8 months' time, I might get a move higher up the ladder. Obviously, we've seen it in Mikowski this year. Obviously, Scotty won't like me for saying it, but I would imagine we'll probably see the same in the summer with Kiki Osalaja and maybe Harvey Walker, who've both been brilliant this year for them. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if teams come looking for Jared Myers as well, who's kind of gone under the radar, but is really impressive. I think he came from Step 5. So, yeah, they've done an excellent job. And it must be quite exciting as a Slough fan, I have to say, to always find these little gems from non-league. The nerd in me really loves it. Frustrating, no doubt, because obviously it probably hampers their own ambitions of pushing towards the top, but must be fun. And there's certainly goals.
Yeah, and you always know you're going to stay out with them. I mean, they've reached the 50-point mark as well, which you'd like to think now, given the state of the 5-6 teams near the bottom, they've probably done enough now to stay in the division for another year, which, again, if you're going to lose a couple of your best players like Mikowski at this time, it's probably not the worst time, is it, once you've got to that 50-point mark anyway. Probably one more win maybe just to do it for them, I would say. But Joe, Torquay 2, Chesham 1, that's a big 3 points, wasn't it?
It is, yeah. Obviously, the cliche that every win's a big win at this stage of the season, but given the couple of weeks that we've had, it certainly is. I think Chesham, to their credit, yes, they're perhaps not the most attractive on the eye. I think that's fair to say, but I have to give a lot of credit to Chesham because Duncan and Muzzer are doing a brilliant job there, always overachieving. And they were one of the best teams to come to Playmore last year. One of only 2 teams to actually beat Torquay at Playmore. And they tore us apart that day. And they started this game really well as well, took the lead after 2 minutes. And given how well they did last year, you do think, oh, is that the writing on the wall? Potentially another disappointing day. But credit to Torquay. We bounced back really well. Sonny Fish scored his first goal of the season. I've maintained that there's a bit of a player in there in Sonny Fish. He just can't keep himself fit. But he's gone out on loan, went to Folkestone and Victor under Jay Saunders, perhaps didn't feature as much as he would like. And now that Cody Cook's unavailable, he's now getting that opportunity. And he really impressed, really well taken goal. Second half, but a tale of 2 red cards. The first after an off-the-ball incident. Don't know what it was for, but Chesham going down to 10 men, and Torquay really capitalised from there. The winner coming with 15 minutes left from a player who I think doesn't get enough plaudits in Dan Hayfield. I think I made Rob chuckle on our NL full-time pod on the week, but I likened Dan to the sort of player that you'd love if you had your daughter to bring home as a boyfriend, because he's just so reliable, great lad, never sulks, works his socks off. And yeah, he's not the most technically gifted, but my word, he makes up for it in effort. And the goal he scored was exactly that. Sent the ball rolling with a pass out wide, and then continued his run and got on the end of it and got to the ball ahead of the goalkeeper to flick it in at the near post. And if he wasn't content with scoring the winner, he then headed the ball off the goal line in the 90th minute to save us the 3 points. So terrific performance from him. And after everything that's gone on, obviously Neil Warnock wasn't there on the weekend. He perhaps didn't expect to still be here at this point. So he'd already booked a golf weekend. So that took precedence over Torquay. So his assistant, Ronnie Jepson, who's been in here for 2 weeks, one of his long-time trusted coaches, he took the team, and it seems as if Torquay are really responded well to him. So it'd be interesting to see what they do now. I think many of us are expecting an appointment, maybe tomorrow, maybe by the middle of the week, and definitely by next Saturday. But yeah, certainly after the run that we went on, back-to-back wins, beating Salisbury and beating Cheshire, both at home, over 3,000 at Playmore. Really impressed.
And still well in those playoffs, aren't they now? Fourth place. Oh, it's tight, isn't it? You drop down 2 or 3 points and you're already outside the playoffs. But like I said to you the other week, and Joe, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, listeners. Sorry, listeners, viewers, beg your pardon. That's because I'm used to doing an audio pod. Sorry. Joe was really down a few weeks ago, really down. And that's because he believed that Paul Watton was the right manager because he knew Paul. And because, it'd become a little bit of a soap opera, really. I mean, literally, we're ringing each other up outside the podcast, and I felt like ending it with you know what I mean? It was like just ridiculous, but they're well in it. And all it needs now is a change of mindset, a drawing of the line. They've obviously got players good enough to make the playoffs. You don't be fourth in the league with 10 games to go unless you're a good side. So, yeah, they just need to get hold of a bit of a belief. And Neil, go and play golf again this weekend.
I love that.
I think if you're going to go on a golf weekend and have someone spare, at least you got someone that's actually been capable of managing. He's obviously managed Football League, hasn't he, Ronnie Jacks? I remember he had a spell with Gillingham, didn't he, at one point? So that's
it'd be interesting to see whether or not he wants to continue in the role. I know he said in his post-match interview that he expects a new manager in this week. He didn't say for definite that he wouldn't stay on in some capacity. And certainly I do hope he does stay because,
as caddy.
Yeah, as caddy. Yeah, I mean, the last two games have been really encouraging. As Rob alluded to, we have got a good squad, and a lot of credit has to go to Paul for that, for the squad that he's put together. Yes, we had lost our way a little bit the last couple of weeks, but there was reasons for that, and we have still got a team capable, if everybody pulls in the same direction, that can get in that playoffs and can still get promoted. So yeah, a more encouraging week for Torquay. Obviously, we've got a couple of really tough fixtures coming up. Dorking away, which is always a difficult one, and Dagenham as well, which are really difficult to get a handle on at the moment under new ownership in KSI. Certainly a renewed optimism. So, yeah, still some tough games, but in a good place.
I'm just going to point out here that I do not apologise for that post I put out the other week.
I was just going to address that, Ben.
I might have had that in my draft ready to go, like possibly, but look, everyone's saying, it's going to get boring after a while, but it's like, well, look, you got to do it as the first team to beat them. Whilst since he's taken over, after about 4 or 5 defeats, it will get boring. So I got to make the most out of it, haven't I?
Ben, you're always an absolute gentleman on the pod, and I wondered if I was looking at the wrong Twitter account this week. I thought Ben showed us another side to his character, didn't he?
I just want to point out that I am a big KSI fan as well, by the way. I've watched him since I was a teenager, so it's no offence to him. A little bit of fun, but I'm glad he replied to it as well, because obviously it gives the club a bit of good exposure as well. People might see it as clickbait, but, look, got to take it as we can, because it's good publicity for the league. But obviously just going to quickly touch on our game at the weekend. Not a lot to say. It wasn't an entertaining spectacle at all. Thought Farnborough were very well organised. Spencer Day said in the interview after that they probably had a better chance, and I think maybe over the course of the game, I probably did. If they had some shooting boots, they probably could have been 2-0 up at half time. But look, our squad's virtually depleted at the moment. We've barely got any players to really call upon for help at the moment. We're having to put under 23s players on the bench. Somebody had a 17-year lad come on, make his debut in the final seconds in Mark Borg. And then, with one moment of quality that we needed from John Gilbert, taking it around the goalkeeper, and it was actually a really good finish in the end. I actually had to watch it back, and I think it looked a lot easier from where I was, but from the angle it was not an easy finish at all. And it's a massive goal in the season, because I think I say every time we win at the moment, it's just about keeping the season alive. And look, I think we are going to still fall short of the playoffs, just only because of the amount of games that teams have got behind us. But Having said that, we've still got to play a few of those teams in around us, starting with Cheshire away on Saturday, which is going to be very, very difficult because their pitch is never easy to play on at all. And they've done us there. Last year, we were on an amazing unbeaten run last season, and they were the ones that ended it. And they're always a tough nut to crack. I think we haven't scored in the last couple of games against them. So defensively, it's going to be hard to break them down. But look, George is getting a response out of this team at the moment because they've had to adapt a little bit. We've lost Mo File now for a number of months, with a ruptured ACL, which was so unfortunate. He was just getting into form. He was. We've had Nathan Harness, out with concussion for 2 or 3 weeks. So we had Lenny Holden put in, which again he's done a great job, by the way. But look, we are very short on numbers now, and I think the players' energy is just starting to run out a little bit, which I think that might, be the difference between us making that top 7 or not. But we have brought in Christy Patterson, who was part of our title winning squad 4 years ago, just to get the crowd on side again. I know he's a player that will always work really hard, very good on the ball. Only problem he's always got is his end product's never been there, but a bit of time away from the club might have helped him. So yeah, good win but obviously Farnborough. Obviously they came, I think, for a draw mainly, but again they would have been ruined some great chances, and look, they're still just above that bottom 4, but given the amount of games in hand that a few teams below them have got, they'll be keeping an eye on them without a doubt. But we'll certainly take it. We're still in the fight. That's what I'll say.
Ben,
and only 7 games left, Ben.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
Only 7. Nobody's played more. There's a few teams have played 39, but yeah, you're gonna have to be you're gonna have to be good in those games, aren't you? I think you're probably going to need at least 4 wins, maybe a draw or 2, just to have a fighting chance. I think you might sneak in. I remember this time last year we were talking very similar. You were saying, "No, we're not going to make it," and you did.
Yeah, I just look at the table, and it's just the teams around. I mean, we have still got to play Cheshire, and we've still got to play Hornchurch. We've got to play Worthing as well. So, and these are teams. To be fair, look, we're looking at the teams behind us. We're only 5 points behind second place at the moment. So, it's, and also the teams above us haven't played as many games as as comparison to the ones that are played below. Because look, if Torquay had lost on Saturday, we'd be just above them on the table on goal difference. They'd only have the 1 game in hand over us. So it can very quickly change again. But like I said, I think we'd have to go on a really good run. I think we'd need to win at least 5 of the last 7, I think, to have a good chance. 79 points was enough for us just to sneak into 7th place last year. But it was a bit of a phenomenon in terms of the fact that 6 teams could have won the league on the same day. So, and I think we might have a bit more of a runaway winner in comparison to last season. But look, I don't want the season to, to just end in a whimper. Really, that's the thing. We just want to keep something. We just want to have something to play for in the last 7 games. And look, if it does come a bit short with a couple of games to go, then so be it. I think the boys have done brilliantly considering. I thought we were going to be near the bottom 4. I really did. And in fact, we've got 60 points with 7 games to go. I think against a testament to George Elokobi and Craig Fagan have had to rebuild this side again. And they're still getting results out of them. So, big amount of credit's got to go to the management team on this one. But yeah, I think anyone else have results that people want to touch on, or are we quite happy to move on? It's quite straightforward, really, at the weekend, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, Maidenhead picked up a last-minute winner at Eastbourne as well. So Steve King's now gone in there. So is it a little bit too late, though, possibly for Eastbourne? Who knows? But, they've still got a bit of time to try and put it right. But I think it's going to be a tough task for them.
And I think Steve King as well. He knows this division well, and he knows the one below it if they do go down to that as well. And he's one of his big strengths. Steve King is assembling good sides. I think he's very, very good at spotting players, at bringing the right players in. Yes, he's probably got some limitations as a manager as well. Everybody has, otherwise they'd be managing much higher up. But I think he's a character, and I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think he's been out of management since he left Hednesford, about a third of the way into last season, hasn't he? So, he's waiting for the right opportunity anyway, and he obviously feels that he can do a job there at Eastbourne long term, not necessarily this season.
Yeah, I think it says quite a lot when they turned off the Twitter comments when they announced it. I don't think that's a good sign if a club is not letting people comment on a new manager. I don't know how this is going to go. Obviously, Rob, you've said some quite complimentary things there. But if a club is... Obviously, they've already gone through Widdrington and he came and left. They've had their issues this season. They've thrown a lot of money at it. And then it comes to hiring a new manager with not long to go, and they've turned off the comments. It feels like something bad's going to happen, and it doesn't feel like this is going to be the saviour. But I know you've just been very complimentary about Steve King, so you might be right.
Yeah, they've got...
What? Sorry, go on.
I was going to say as well, the fact they brought in Lee Angol as well, very experienced player. That's the thing that just shows that getting players at this stage means they must be throwing a little bit more extra at it to try and get results because they're desperate. They can't afford to go down. That's the thing, because you go from playoff semi-final last season, not getting about turning one of those draws into a win. They would have won the league last year, and it's such fine margins. And the fact this has been an absolute disaster, and they've gone through that. And this is the third experienced manager. Boy, let's remind ourselves of that. Matt Gray been in the Football League with Sutton. Widgington, very experienced manager at this level and the level above. And then obviously Steve King, again, another experienced manager. So a lot of these payoffs and that must be getting quite expensive for Simon Leslie, put it that way. But it's getting a little bit desperate now, isn't it, I think, for them?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I would add, I don't want to channel me inner Roy Keane, but, they've had some, as you say, some really good managers. They've had Matt Gray, they've had Tommy Worthington that have all managed higher, and obviously now getting Widgington, and obviously now getting Steve King. And it seems with every new manager, they keep chucking players at it. Why don't they just coach the players that they've got? I think it's a real sad sight that every time a manager comes in, his first thought is, let's just go and get loads of new players.
Yeah.
Perhaps why don't you just coach the players you've got? I think that's probably one of the reasons why they're in the problems that they are, is because they have got some talented players, but they haven't coached them well enough. You can't tell me that a team with George Alexander in can't get enough to be, go and win games at this level. So, and that's just one name. You look at their whole sheet. They brought in a lot of good players under Tommy Widgington that have all played higher and are good players for the level. So I'd just actually quite like to see Steve King say, you know what, I'm going to work with a group of players I've got and actually try and get a tune out of them. We may not be pretty to watch, but I'm going to just actually try and get them to try and get results. Obviously, I know you obviously try and, as a manager, you come in with new ideas and you perhaps want to try and bring in a couple of new players to change the dynamic of a team. But I'd actually quite like to see a coach, in that bottom four, actually try and coach their way out of troubles. I mean, you look at Gary Horgan. Yes, I know Chippenham are still in that bottom four, but they haven't really added a great deal, have they? There hasn't been many incomings, but they've slowly adapted as the season's gone on, improved and coached their way potentially out of trouble. So that's what I'd like to see from Eastbourne in this sort of last month or so.
Yeah, and just to quickly add on that, I mean, I'm never a big fan of teams that constantly bring in players at the time. I mean, I look at, for an example, Welling United, obviously in the division below, I think they've used 60, 70 players this season. I think some of their players' numbers have turned to like 78, 79 because they're running out of shirts. You can't buy your way out of trouble, I think, in this division. And I think you're right, Chubby, you've hit the nail on the head. You've got to be able to coach them. And if they keep having different voices as well, giving them different ideas, then it'll confuse them. That's the thing. You want a direct way of playing. And, like I said, they've got a lot of talent in that squad. I still look at that squad and I think, how on earth is that squad in the bottom four? Given the fact I don't think the recruitment over the summer was the best, but as the season's gone on, they've brought in better players. But again, it's maybe a harsh comment to say, but is it all because, look, they know they're going to get a good paycheck out of it? It does come into play. Like everyone expects likes of Chelmsford to do it. They should be smashing this league on paper, but they're not. Some of their players, some of their wages they're on is ridiculous from what I've heard. And they're not performing. They're still 11 points behind Dawkins. So you've got to be able to coach them. And I think, Steve King, the only way he's going to get out of this now is by just using the group. He's got maybe one or two extra additions that he knows of that know that he can play under him. But other than that, he's got to stick with it now. 7 games left, and the transfer window ends in like a couple of weeks' time. So he hasn't really got much time to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, one final point to add on that is I think it's very difficult as a manager to try and get confidence into a group when you're in there for a couple of games and your immediate thought is just getting new players, because that then alienates the players that you had in the first place who you felt weren't good enough to begin with. So when you have to then rely on those players, well, you've already turned them against you in the first place because you didn't think they were good enough and you replaced them. So yeah, I think Steve King will see that group and he would have gone in there and thought, you know what, there's a good team here on paper. I just need to get them organised, working hard, and I can get results. And I do agree with Rob. I mean, he's experienced, he's had success at this level before. Yes, in slightly different circumstances, but I think if he can, yes, they conceded at the end against Maidenhead, but you'd have potentially looked at that and thought, that's a really valuable point against a good Maidenhead side. So there's some good signs, and I think they'll give it a good go.
Yeah, sure. Put us onto the league table, if you may.
I'm just going to really quickly go back to the chat because we do have some comments. I just wanted to address as well, there's a lot of Rochdale and York chat in the chat at the moment. I have starred all the comments, so when we get onto National League, I will bring them up. But there is a lot of back and forth. It's quite fun, actually. Chris has put Western didn't have a mare this time. They did win 2-0 against Hampton and Richmond.
And there's one other game I think we should very quickly touch on, guys, because it affected both ends of the table. At half-time, Hornchurch were 2-0 up, Henry Sandak goals. Remember, they're in second place, aren't they? Second or third, and pushing hard. But in the second half, Bath, who were desperate for points, came back, got 2 goals. And Sandat, who got that brace, then got sent off as well. So big turnaround in that second half. And Hornchurch trimmed from 3 points to 1 on the day. And at this stage of the season, that's a big blow.
Just going back to the chat as well, realistically, the drop from National League South is between the bottom 5. There is a big gap between 5th and 6th bottom. We've got as well in the chat. There's a rumour that Paul Tisdale couldn't agree terms with Torquay about the manager's job. He has recommended the Tottenham manager. Don't know if it's true. Got that one.
We've heard that rumour is all we can really say, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, move on, Sharp.
Yeah, no problem. There's a lot about the KSI takeover as well. So Chris actually put, I was thinking KSI taking over Dagenham. Is this a joke? And then there's obviously a lot of talk about that, saying it's crazy. I think Andy Carroll is on the board now too.
Yes.
We've got Chris also mentioning KSI does bring a lot more eyes to the National League as well, considering how he is in the spotlight more often. And then we've got, yes, could be Wrexham Part 2 if he's prepared to put the money in.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will just add on that, I mean, the game itself for Dagenham was a ball fest, 0-0 against Enfield. But the fact that obviously the eyes from KSI, I see the National League put out that I think of their next 7 games, 6 of them are all being live streamed on DAZN.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
There's more than one team in the National League South. Be nice to see a couple other teams, the likes of your Hornchurches, your Worthings, your Dawkins, all them teams up there. Or maybe even some teams at the bottom who are fighting against each other to stay up. Be nice to see them get a go on DAZN. So, there's obviously going to be that attraction. It's a big name, but I would like to see a little bit more coverage for the league in general.
The only thing I will say is the fact that when Dagenham played us the other week, they put the goal on Twitter from DAZN, but then there was nothing about our goals after that. So that just shows where we are at the moment. I would say no more on the matter.
Bad.
Did anybody else?
Start, but
go on, Morgan.
I was just saying it's a start to get coverage on the National League. Like, they're only going to do it. They're not going to put Hornchurch and Worthing on TV off their own back. Like, if it takes Ryan Reynolds at Wrexham and KSI at Dagenham to get more people watching non-league football, then I guess you take it. When we want these leagues to grow and attendances to get better, you kind of take the scraps that you end up given. I know people are like, oh, you shouldn't be relying on the FA Cup and stuff like that. But again, in low league, you rely on any scraps you can get for money and views and anything like that. So yes, it's not perfect that Dagenham are on DAZN 6 out of the last 7 games and no one else is. But if you've got 12-year-old kids watching the National League South because of KSI and Dagenham, then that's a massive step forward, I think.
Yeah.
In the chat as well, Sam has just come in. Evening team, KSI, I heard just getting involved because of the inspirational. Absolutely non-league show, #bandwagon. I reckon so too. I think we pressured him into it, all us lot.
I shouldn't leak how many DMs I sent him getting him on the show.
Exactly. He's not coming on now because of Ben.
Being blocked by KSI.
I rattled him. Remember that.
We will go on to the National League South table. So, bear with me a second, guys. I'm going to get it up on my phone because my eyes aren't the best, as you all know. So, Dorking Wanderers are top of the National League South on 71 points. Second, we have Hornchurch on 66 points. Worthing a third on 65 points. Torquay a fourth on 64 points. Hemel Hempstead a fifth on 64 points. Maidenhead a sixth on 62 points. And Ebbsfleet a seventh on 62 points. And then in the relegation zone, we have Chippenham Town. They are 21st on 35 points. Bath City are 22nd on 33 points. Enfield Town are 23rd on 32 points. And bottom of the National League South, we have Eastbourne Borough on 31 points. Just really quickly in the chat as well, Lucas put, unfortunately, DAZN want to capitalise on this media attention that KSI is getting, which means more for them. To be fair, though, a lot did it with like Robbie Savage and stuff, didn't they? Like with Forest Green and things like that at the beginning. So who needs KSI? Exactly when you've got JCB, Jen, Charlotte, Ben.
Yeah, without the J today.
Exactly. Chelmsford versus Slough is on DAZN tonight. 3 games in the National League South on Tuesday. Right, we will go over to the National League North. So if there is any National League North fans, send in your match reports. Morgan, I'm going to come to you first. Put you under pressure now.
No, I'm not under pressure.
I'll come to you last then. Right, I'm joking.
I've got a page of notes about 2 games, so I can start where you want. I'll start at the bottom of the table. Southport, Oxford. 3-1 there. Big win for Oxford because they're just outside the relegation zone now. Southport won the last 3 in a row before this game, so Southport are in a decent position now. Oxford have won 2 of the last 5 now, only losing 1 of them. So Oxford are keeping this competitive down at the bottom. Obviously, started well, got a 3rd-minute goal, won it in there was a 3rd-minute goal, and then they won it in the second half. It was 1-1 at half-time, and then 49th and 79th minute, Oxford won the second half. Campden Storage brace. He's played in National League North quite a lot. He's on his 4th club, which I think is quite good, and he's got, 8 goals? Yeah, 8 goals and 4 assists in 26 games, which you're trying to battle at the bottom of that league, and he's on almost a goal contribution every other game. If they stay up, it's because of him. So I think he deserves quite a lot of credit on that. But yeah, that relegation battle at the bottom is quite tight. And I know, I think we've mentioned Southport because obviously Neil Dans is there and his family links into football. Because was it his son made his debut at Liverpool at like 16? I'm thinking of the right player.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah.
And this is his first managerial job. And last year, Southport, they finished. They got 53 points in their 46 games last year, and they're on 45 and 38. So they need a point per game to the level last year, which is a pretty good first year in management. And they've been getting 2 points per game in the last 5 games. So if Neil Dans keeps doing what he's doing, he'll have a really good first season in management. When Southport have been struggling for the last few years in the bottom half of the National League North, I think it'd be quite an impressive season to kind of for Neil Dans to get his feet wet into football, do better than last season, and give them something to build upon because they were a football league club, and their fans, some of their older fans, will be thinking that's where they want to be back to. With there being plenty of former football league clubs in National League North, like Darlington, Hereford, Chester, Kidderminster, there's plenty of them. And Southport, the older Southport fans will be saying, why can't we get back there as well? Yeah. Could still get to Wembley as well. So good win for Oxford. Southport are not far from being completely out of the woods, which I think is a good season considering a few years. And yeah, Neil Dans deserves a lot of credit down there.
Definitely. One thing I did want to mention as well is we've not actually spoke about it, but we spoke about him leaving Hereford, Paul Caddis, but he has now gone, hasn't he, to Kings Lynn. What do we make about that appointment? Joe, I will come to you first. Do you think it's a good appointment for them?
I do. I think he probably has gone into it in a difficult situation. But yes, I think obviously he struggled this season at Hereford. But I really liked him. I think he was really honest, perhaps at times a little bit too honest and open sometimes. But I saw some really good stuff from Hereford last year. Really good young manager. I hope he gets some good backing at Kings Lynn and is allowed to put his stamp on things there, because I always want to see younger managers get a chance and prove themselves. So, yeah, I wish him good luck. I really hope he is a success. Hopefully they can stay in the National League North. I think they will. I think they should. I think they've got a really talented squad. And, yeah, I think they've taken a gamble, but sometimes those outside-the-box selections pay off. So, yeah, I wish him well. I hope he's a success there.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on that appointment?
No. Just to say that he's now at a club that's got 4 more points, but 5 less games to play.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting plot twist, isn't it?
Yeah.
He could have gone down with Hereford. He may go down with Kings Lynn. Who knows? Both teams may survive yet, but yeah, that's my only thoughts. I don't know Paul Caddis well enough, so I don't have an opinion on if he's the right man or not.
Just on the Hereford situation as well, because I mean, they have been picking up some really, really good results, haven't they, since the change of appointment. Chris has put Hereford have been on a decent run of late, but what a result for them versus Shields. What do we make of that?
That's the game that I was going to come to when you come to me.
Go on then, Rob. So talk about them.
Well, it's a massive standout, isn't it? Particularly because 7 days earlier, South Shields were top of the league, and then everything's gone Fylde's way since. And for South Shields to lose there, it's probably they could have gone and played Hereford any time in the last 2 or 3 months and probably romped it. But now is not the time to play Hereford. They've got a little bit of momentum. They got a head of steam up. And we're so concerned purely with how they were going to fit in all of their games. I don't think any of us were thinking, well, what if they got on a good run and then all of a sudden you don't want training all week. You want to play again 3 days later. That's what they've got now. They're in the 4th bottom position. They're only a point outside the relegation zone now. And the likes of Kings Lynn and Oxford City are massively got to be looking over their shoulder, because even if Hereford run out of steam, even if Hereford lose a few players, even if they end up playing a few games towards the end of this run where they just can't be competitive, they may already be safe the way they're going. They are absolutely flying. And yeah, good point, Chris. They play Thursday this week. And I think there's a certain amount of fairness about this, because the team they play on Thursday is Alfreton, and both of them play tomorrow night as well. And so it's not like one of them's got to play 2 days later and squeeze an extra game in and the other hasn't. So it's fair game. It's a level playing field on Thursday night. Which 11 have you got that can still stand up 2 days later?
Yeah, no, obviously there was a real cracking strike in this one from Harrison Sona. Obviously been on social media. Terrific free kick into the top right-hand corner from distance. Really, really good strike. And I just wanted to make a point on Aaron Downs, really. Obviously someone that was at Torquay, took over from Gary Johnson, was his assistant with us. And obviously he went to Cheltenham. It didn't work out for him there, but I am really pleased that he's managed to make a good start at Hereford. He always, made it clear that he wanted to be a number one, that he was a talented coach, and that he really wanted to do well in the game. So obviously Hereford have backed him. They're taking a bit of a gamble on him, definitely, but brought in his very trusted assistant in Harry Pell, who is formerly of Hereford and also played at Cheltenham with Aaron Downs. And I think he's really doing a good job there. So I have to applaud him. He's doing a great job, and I hope he can be a success. I don't see Hereford going down. I think he's made a couple of really shrewd additions to that team already. Harrison Sona being one. Harry Tustin, I think I mentioned last week or the week before on this pod, someone that I really impressed me at Salisbury. And they're playing some really nice stuff. So well done, Aaron Downs. words I didn't expect to be saying perhaps a year ago. But yeah, he's doing a great job.
Just while we're with you, Joe, as well, I'm going to ask you, do you have any standouts on here or any you want to give a mention to?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bedford beating Radcliffe. I think, obviously, on our pod, we've had the manager on, Lee Bircham, already this season, and what a character. I think if Bedford stay up this season, I think he's definitely got to be in contention for manager of the season. Obviously, you'll always look towards the managers at the top end, but given what he's had to deal with in terms of being one of the part-time sides, the fact that they haven't had the biggest of budgets, they're obviously new to the division. He's done a great job, obviously sitting outside the bottom four at the moment. To beat Radcliffe as well, who you'd imagine will be really disappointed with how their last couple of weeks has gone. Took their foot off the gas in their push for the playoffs. But yeah, Bedford Town, good win. Nathan Ashmore, of course, another clean sheet for him. And I'm just really one of the real plus points for me this season has been the new teams. The Merthers and the Bedfords.
Yeah.
Been really refreshing to see some new faces in the division doing really well. So delighted for Lee. Obviously, one that we've had on the pod. I think Rob and I really enjoyed his company when he was on. Really honest, great guy. So doing a great job at Bedford.
Top human being as well. I've only met him twice, and both times he's insisted after the game, come into the bar and bought me a drink. And you know what? For a manager at that level, with everything that they have on their mind and everything they have to cover on a match day, and then obviously even when they do go through to the bar, fans to talk to, players and everything else as well. That's a top touch, that is, because we hit it off well, admittedly, and obviously if he didn't like me, he would have invited me in for a drink. But that was really appreciated, and I stayed long enough the second time to buy him one back as well, just to even up the score. But honestly, thanks for Joe for mentioning it, because I kind of went in with my Hereford South Shields one there, but a massive part of me wanted to talk about Bedford's 1-0 as well.
and you can see why, he's had success at whatever level he's been at. He's got promotions at step 3, step 4, 5. And this would be a real success for them if they could stay up. You can see why players want to play for him, because he's a really good man manager, gets the best out of players. And yes, that when they have had an off day, they've had a couple of drubbings, but you'd expect that against full-time teams that perhaps have 4 or 5 training sessions a week, whereas obviously Lee Bircham's still working part-time, comes home on a Tuesday night and has to go to training. But he's doing a good job, and he should be really proud of the season that he's had there. Big win. Perhaps not an expected win either against Radcliffe.
I'm just going to quickly touch on this. I know we're not money experts or anything, so we won't go too far into it. But a couple of people are talking about it in the chat. Danny has put, I saw Kieran Maguire who posted the Radcliffe accounts on X. They lost 807k last year. It was 674k the previous season. Not sure if they have rich ownership to subsidise, but it seems a lot. And then Matt has said, totally agree with you, Danny. Some clubs at this level are making huge losses, with Radcliffe apparently in debt to the tune of £2 million.
Did you see what Jono said on Twitter?
I've not, no.
He followed it up. So obviously being manager of Radcliffe, he then followed it up with kind of trying to give a bit of context to it. I know some people have said they don't fully believe what he said, but a lot of what he said is off the field stuff, and the highest paid player is Jordan Hume on £300 a week, and a lot of this money being thrown in isn't to do with the playing staff, it's to do with improving the infrastructure at the club, the pitch and stuff like that. So he's tried to provide some context as someone that knows the club very, very well, but it's then how much do people want to believe that Jordan Hume is the highest paid player on £300 a week compared to some of these accounts that have come out that have them losing £2 million and £807,000 last year. So there's some interesting context needs to be put into this, but I think it does open this wider discussion of football ownership and how much money is being thrown around in non-league. I know we're going to see it over the next couple of weeks with the end of financial year and more clubs are going to have their accounts coming out, and it's going to be this conversation. I think there was one in the Football League that came out as well. I can't remember what club it was, but it's like this bubble is going to burst at some point. Of these clubs are going to lose some serious money, and someone's not going to be able to keep up paying this. And then there's going to be all this discussion of, like, why is football ownership so bad? And I think it's a matter of time because everyone's chasing that next step up, whether that's into the National League North or South, which is seen as that bit more professional, into the National League, which is almost very professional, the Football League. Like, Charles, when the National League accounts come out, there's going to be some big conversations about what's going on at the top end of the National League between definitely York, Carlisle, Forest Green, and then that chase to get into the Football League. And you just know that in the next few weeks, we're going to be having these discussions about this club's losing all this money, this club's losing this money, and why is this so badly run? And I think it will just open this discussion more about this independent regulator that needs to happen in football, because you can't be losing 807,000. Oh yeah, Wickham. Thank you, Danny. You can't be losing £807,000 in a year as a 6-tier side that aren't even in the playoffs. Like, there has to be some level of regulation put into that, because football's broken.
I mean, a point I would add on that. I mean, obviously, Rob, you can come in as well, but that's football, I'm afraid. I don't think, I think there was one team last year in the whole Football League and National League that actually made a profit. I think it was League. It's a big boy game, I'm afraid. And as an owner, you've got to be prepared to run football clubs at a loss. That is just the nature of football. Yes, I think some owners, and as much as we may criticize the likes of your Forest Greens that go out and spend money and your Yorks with your big squads, they've got owners that are willing to put their money in. And if you're willing to put your money in, then, so be it. I think obviously you need to try and run clubs sustainably. And I think you are seeing more teams trying to run sustainably. But, when you've got, Wickham's owners, I can't remember his name, but is a billionaire. So for him, 20 million's a drop in the ocean, comparatively. But that is football. It is a sad situation that is just the landscape of where we are. But football clubs lose money. It's just the way it is. It shouldn't be.
It's not just like losing money. Sometimes they're investing money to build or to strengthen. And I'm just coming back. I wanted to come. You made an excellent point about Anthony Johnson's tweet, which I'd got up here in front of me, Morgan, and there's a couple of bits from it. He says that it's. He said, "What I see here is what I've always seen from the club: 100% total transparency and clarity. Ratcliffe are very fortunate, like a lot of football clubs, to have an excellent owner who puts his own money into the club. A club that's needed huge infrastructure investment over the last couple of years, a fortune spent on the best pitch in the league, a ground invested in to become National League North compliant, floodlight upgrades, turnstiles, food kiosks, fan zone, etc. A lot of money clearly has been invested into the football club, but a club budget or club spend is very different to what a first team budget is." And then he goes on to say, and I think Bernard joined in as well, didn't he? Later on, he said something about as long as my $4,000 a week that I get paid still okay or whatever. So they've taken it very much tongue in cheek. But I think Anthony Johnson makes a really good point. One, that, if you have people that come into football that really want to invest their money in seeing a club build, we've all done it. We've all done it on the football management sims, haven't we? We've got the money. We splash the cash. We build the big stadiums. If you build it, they will come. And so that shouldn't be confused with all their players are on $1,000 a week or something. Because if that's the case, then that's a different issue.
Yeah, I think as well is you've got to put in some level of input to try and get some reward. You will probably look at most leagues and they won't be directly the case, but it will mostly be a reflection of the budgets that are put in, the resources that they've got off the field that they've spent in. I mean, you look at Wrexham when they were at this level, putting in big amounts of money. They had to spend a lot up front in the initial period, but they've probably made more than that back, haven't they, with the success that they've had?
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously some teams perhaps look to do that more organically. You look at, like, for example, Exeter. Obviously, it's not in non-league, but whereas you've got some teams that are willing to say, you know what, I'm going to really back that project and really invest. So you've just got to do it within your means at the end of the day.
And the flip side of it, I'm so sorry to elongate this point. I think it's one of the best discussion points we've had on here.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of this is when your team is a team that isn't a money club, and it's never been a money club, and it's actually gone to the wall once, very nearly twice. I'm talking about my own side, Aldershot Town, admittedly from a different division that we haven't covered yet. But let me tell you this. Yeah, you have your moments where you're a bit envious and you think, why do we never why do we never have a benefactor? Why can we not? But I tell you what, when you do go and win something, when you get to the FA Trophy final and you win it at Wembley, my goodness me, the sense of pride that you feel because your club is just getting by and it just had its good moment, just through everybody pulling together. So I don't want to take anything away from those who've got money, spending it well and are achieving things. But if I'm really, really brutally honest, I love my club a little bit more because it doesn't have a benefactor. And that's just a flip side of it. Other people who support teams without a lot of money might feel the same, or they might just say, sod that, I want somebody to come along who's a billionaire.
I do have a really good comment here, actually, from Matt. So he's put, I'll give you a contrast. Marine work on the basis of only spending what they make. That makes what they've done these last 2 seasons all the more remarkable.
Yeah, I think
and Bobby Grant, Charles' best mate, Bobby Grant doing it.
I wish he was my best mate. I think at this point, I think the lad's getting a restraining order. Talk about him that much.
I think there's a very valid point, though, to me, because I know that we do exactly the same, as in we don't spend more than what we can. Our owners have never taken any money out of the club. They've always built it on what we make at the club. Now, I know clubs like Dulwich Hamlet have done it as well. Their biggest, income is through, the bar money and everything. And they use that to, to help fund the team and push in the right direction because they've got 3,000 people in every week. And we're sort of exactly the same. That's probably where we are. But in the, 15 years that the owners have been in charge of us, I think there's only been 1, maybe 2 seasons where we've made a loss. Every year we've made a profit. And I know supporters are annoyed about it and we do want to move on as a club. But and I say with a lot of teams, you don't need to spend buckets and buckets of money, to go up in that. You just want something to give them a little bit of hope to be a bit more competitive in divisions. That's the thing. I mean, that's what a lot of people just ask for is when they need to spend a little bit more just to get that player that they want, do it because it'll probably be worth it for them. At the end of the day, you can't. Most owners, like I say, are millionaires. Even at these levels, so they're going to always try and put as much as they can in. In the end, hindsight's a nice thing. We'd all want to have a massive benefactor in it, but at the same time, you have got to look at the best interest of the club as well. But as long as the owners don't put that club into jeopardy, then you can't knock them for wanting to spend much because at the end of the day, it's their money. As long as it's not affecting the football club, it's their money, and they can do whatever they want with it.
I think there's also the discussion of. Oh, sorry, Joe.
Ben, can we get that on a T-shirt that owners should back managers with an extra player to get them over the line?
Yeah, as well. To be honest with you, I'll make no comment in that, just in case our owner's watching.
But no, I think there's always the comment of the grass isn't always greener because I know, especially as a York fan, we've got the Ugglers in, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you're spending loads of money and you're having a great time and you're second in the league and all this." But we had multiple ownership issues in the 90s and then the 2000s. At the moment, we're being sued by a former owner, which is a messy thing in its own sake. We've gone through several different owners that have gone, "Oh yeah, we'll spend loads of money on this club," and it's gone really badly. So I do appreciate there are two sides of it. You do see kind of the Yorks and Rochdales and Carlisles, Forest Green at the top end of the National League, Notts County, Chesterfield and Wrexham that have gone up. Bromley as well, very well run club that's spending a lot of money. You've got to spend lots of money. But at the same time, we've seen so many clubs have a new owner in who said, "I'm going to promise you the world," and it's just gone completely to the wall. And then you've had fan protests and everything, and it's why we see Hereford and Darlington and Chester saying, "Well, we don't want a big owner in," because we've seen it go so badly wrong. So I think there does need to be this two sides of it. Of yes, there is the green side of it of I don't know, Matt Oakley's got York City to 96 points last year, and we're going to hit 100 points this year, most likely. But the amount of bad owners in football that say, we'll promise you the world and don't know what they're doing, there is this level of, okay, that's good, but let's also be sensible. And it's not perfect for every club. Obviously, Rob, you've said how Aldershot, you're really happy that you don't have this insane owner. You know that the club's in safer hands. Yes, you're not flying at the top of the league and you was really struggling this year, but you got to the FA Trophy final, you won that a couple of years ago. There is that sense of pride because you know that this is being built from the ground up rather than being kind of helicopter lifted beyond its means.
I've just got a couple of comments in the chat, which I will get to, just about this situation. So Luke is obviously a Gateshead fan. He has put same goals for us. We have the lowest budget in the league and we have got success from it, which is us winning the FA Trophy and the National League North. We've got, obviously, I remember shaking buckets for York when we almost went bust. It's different now and better, but it's the fans that make it. Steve, as well, has put, similar to Aldershot, Slough's never been a rich club and we've nearly folded this century, ended up in step 4, but we've built our way back up sustainably. Obviously, Merritt, you're not been in a while and then you come in now to taunt me. Eh?
Southend fans talking about ownership issues as well. It's not like that's been pretty well publicised when they had all their issues a couple of years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
This next one is a great point. This next one.
So Matt has put, I always think what happens when a rich benefactor decides that they've lost interest, they put the club up for sale with massive amounts of debt attached that no one wants to buy. End of club. So true. So true. Fantastic point made.
Yeah, I mean,
there.
I would just add on that. Obviously, not always. Obviously, Torquay's owner put in, I think there were £6 or £7 million in debt when he put the club up for sale, and they're still recovered pretty well. So it's not always a death sentence, granted, and you know, in some cases, some owners are so well off that losing a couple of £1 million, as silly as it sounds, is nothing for them. So, yeah, at the end of the day, you just want your club to live within its means. And if an owner wants to put in his money that he's earned, then he can put it, or he or she can put it in at the end of the day.
We're in the wrong division, but I'm just going to make a one-line statement and then we can move on. But I like the way that the Rochdale owners have done it. That's all the Ogdens coming in. I've seen some smart decisions. You know, I already joked about the fact that they came in. You got a bit more backing now, and I don't get my free pie and program anymore when I go. But that sometimes is about making smart decisions. And when new owners come in, if one of the first things they do is make sure the club's not leaking out the bottom end, that's a great start, you know. And they've stood up and been counted when it comes to the pitch issues. But they've not gone silly on the playing squad. So, and anyway, wrong division. So I'll shut up there. But this is we've struck a chord with the viewers, haven't we? Here, I think we all see it from a different point of view, depending on whether our club's got money or not. Really,
it made me laugh that term you'll use, Rob, the leaking out the bottom end, because it was not that long ago with our pitch.
Yeah. Not leaking out quickly enough, though, was it?
Exactly. But we do have a few match reports, which I will get onto. Bear with me because we do have a lot of chat. So thank you so much for being so interactive tonight. We do have Chris's point of view, though, on the Spennymoor Merthyr game. It is a very, very, very long one. It's 3 parts now, this one. So bear with me. So Merthyr away. Well, it was worth it in the end for getting up at 4 a.m. for this game. Wasn't going great, though. 2-0 down at the start of the second half. Ray and Cox, but once the Moors made a couple of subs, then it all changed. Matty Dolan got a goal back, but Junior Mondal got the equaliser on the 71st minute. And then guess who? Of course, Mr. Spennymoor himself, Glenn Taylor. Yeah. Exactly, GT got the winning goal on the 90th minute from a header. unbelievable scenes behind the goal where the Moors fans who travelled all the way to Merthyr and getting that result. Love that. Love that. Ben, I've just thought I've not come to you yet because I got that into it then. Any standout? Sorry. I do apologise.
No, that's okay. I'd probably say Ross Jenkins's Oxford City's 3-1 win at Southport. I mean, it's a huge win in terms of the context, really, because it does lift them out the bottom four. But with the greatest respect possible, Hereford have got 6 games in hand over them, and they're 1 point behind. So the chances are that they will overtake them at some point, especially particularly the run they've been on. But I think they've got to be looking at Kings Lynn at the moment, just because they've been pulled into it now again with a heavy 4-1 defeat at Fylde. But yeah, a couple of goals of DJ Campton Sturridge, it's an important one. I mean, again, Southport have been on a fairly good run as well, to be fair, in the last month or so. And I don't know whether maybe the trophies distracted them a little bit in terms of the fact they've got a massive semi-final in 2 weeks' time against Southend. It could be a once-in-a-lifetime thing for them to get to Wembley. But look, you got to give Ross Jenkins some credit because they can't. They're one of those clubs that you've always seen it, been well established at step 2. Whether it's the south or the north, they've always gone up and beyond. They have, and he's a good manager, Ross Jenkins. Like I said, a club to be working that with the limited resources that he probably has there. But to go away from home, it's been another long journey for those Oxford fans. But to come with a 3-1, win away from home, a tough place to be fair. Southport has always made it difficult for teams down there. But yeah, no, it's vital that. But they've got to be looking a little bit further up, I think, rather than down at the moment, because, like I say, Hereford will catch them up at some stage.
Just going on to another match report. So we do have here Tony, and he has put Darlow should have been well out of sight, missed a penalty, post twice, bar twice, Leamington clearing off the line, but in good old Darlow fashion, we left it to a nervy finish. 3 points, though. That's all that matters. I love that we're getting new fans coming in as well that support different teams. It's really refreshing to see, isn't it? Especially north and south sides.
Just a quick mention for the losers there in that one, Leamington, under new management, Scott Easterlow. And he's actually, Dickie was telling us, I didn't realise this, but they've done a bit of a switch around, haven't they, Joe, with one of the management team at Leamington's gone to, what's that
Racing
team again?
Club Warwick.
Racing Club Warwick, and the Racing Club Warwick managers come in. And you have to respect, he's got an upwards move at the moment, but you have to respect anyone that comes in and takes that job when they're 16 points shy of safety. So it's probably with a view to next season as well, isn't it, that one? Yeah,
almost a free hit for him, really. He's got sort of 10 games. He's almost got like a 10-game pre-season before pre-season. They know they're down. They're going down. So he can use the next 10 games to assess his group and try and put everything in place to go and get success next year. And I wish them well, because they're a nice club. So I really hope they do well.
We've got another match report as well from a Marine point of view. I wasn't at Marine on Saturday, but really good performance by all accounts with 16-year-old. Is it Huber? Man of the match, him and James Potter, also 16, showing how strong the club's academy is. I love to see that. I love to see the academies coming through. I do. We've got Chris talking about Chester as well. So Finlay Shrimpton, 8 goals in 9 games for the Chester player. Unbelievable from him. And Chester, even with all the toxicity with the management team. Sorry, Morgan, what was you going to say?
I was waiting to see if there was a lulling conversation where I could talk about Finlay Shrimpton. Shrimpton, because I made some notes on him. 6 goals in the last 5 games. He's been absolutely flying. He's got 8 this season. He's got 6 in his last 5 games. And obviously Chester, they've had a weird season. I know we've spoken about them quite a lot, with McIntyre leaving at the end of the season, then with immediate effect. And they've had a really weird season. And it's Rawlington, isn't it, in charge, an interim charge, who's turned them around. But yeah, Finlay Shrimpton is when that comment he deserves such a mention, because his form recently has been absolutely fantastic. And that 1-1 draw with Kidderminster, obviously they're in the playoffs. They've benefited from the fact that Scarborough played Telford, who are 7th and 8th and just ahead of just ahead of where Chester are. They drew 1-1 as well, so no ground was really lost when Chester had quite a difficult game away at the team they faced in the playoff semi-finals last year. So Shrimpton scores a good 1-1 draw, and they lose no ground because Telford and Scarborough play out a 1-1 draw as well. So good weekend all round for Chester, really. And it'll be interesting to see if Shrimpton stays in the summer, if people think this is just a bit of a hot streak, if he wants to stay in the Northwest, kind of what happens, because Northwest obviously has a decent amount of non-league pedigree. Whether he goes up, if Fylde go up, is that someone that they look at? If Rochdale somehow don't make it in the Football League, is Shrimpton good enough to step up there? Does he go to Altrincham, who are also in the Northwest and a good National League team? So be really interesting to see what his summer looks like. But yeah, his recent form definitely deserves a shout out.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't want to look too far ahead to the summer, but potentially one that for Halifax, obviously I'll do a piece on them, but they've got a number of players there that you would imagine will probably leave in the summer. Hamami, Turner Cook, Cody Johnson, Hugh Gill, Will Harris as well. So, and they've always tended to look for that younger, more energetic profiles. So, no doubt Adam Lakeland will already have half an eye towards next season, and will no doubt have half an eye, even not two eyes, on players from the leagues below. So
has he got 2.5 eyes then, Joe?
Yeah, 2.5 eyes. That's why he's able to find all these gems, Rob. He's got 2.5 eyes.
It's the half eye what helps him. I love that. Just before we move on to the table, has anybody else got any points they'd like to make on any of the other games?
Actually, sorry,
go on. No, go on.
All of us.
You were first, Morgan. You go.
When I was talking about Southport, I was doing some of the research about them earlier. Chris C, I think his name is. It's spelled SZE. He's only 22. He played almost 50 games for Wigan in the Cups and a bit in League One. And he's got 7 goals in 14 games for them as a 22-year-old. So in a struggling Southport team, he could be one to watch for the back end of the season and into the start of next, depending on what happens in the summer. But yeah, very good kind of run of form from a 22-year-old at a struggling team.
Good stuff. And my point was just on Marine. There was mention of Southport maybe distracted by the FA Trophy semi-final. Doesn't seem to be affecting Marine, does it? They're in the other FA Trophy semi-final. And I think one of the other teams that are in those semi-finals are in pretty good form as well. I think you can use it. You get those players fighting like crazy for the shirt right now. They don't want to miss out on the big game when it comes. This is the time to play yourself into form. And yeah, Worksop, of course, have got their struggles, but that's a good home win for Marine. Be amiss of us not to acknowledge that.
Just some results there. Quickly, we have Tony saying that Darlington play Radcliffe tomorrow night. It's a tasty one with regards to those playoff spots. We will have a quick look now at those playoff spots because we will look at the league table. As you can see as well, for anybody who is unsure, with the PO, that means that particular team has qualified for the playoffs. We don't know what position they'll be in, but at the moment, AFC Fylde have qualified regardless of what happens for the playoffs. I just thought I'd address it because someone in the chat will be like, why have you put Poe next to it? Literally.
Yeah, AFC Fylde post, South Shields, exactly. La. Murphy.
Tinky Winky.
Yeah.
Literally, somebody would, because if I was in someone else's chat, that's exactly what I'd probably put. That's why I thought I'll address it now. But yes, we will look at the table for National League North. So top of the table, we have AFC Fylde on 82 points, South Shields are second on 81 points, Merthyr Town are third on 66 points, Kidderminster Harriers are fourth on 66 points, Macclesfield are fifth on 61 points, Darlington are sixth on 59 points, Scarborough are seventh on 59 points, and then in the relegation zone, we have Hereford, who are 21st on 38 points, Peterborough Sports are 22nd on 36 points. Alfreton are 23rd on 33 points. And Leamington are bottom of the National League North on 23 points. I know we have spoke about them quite a lot, but it's a change, isn't it, for Hereford, since obviously the last few weeks when we were talking about it and how now they're only 1 point off Oxford City. And as we mentioned, with all those games in hand. So it's looking a lot more positive than last time we did speak about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And also a good win. I know they're a long way from safety, but a little doff of the cap for Gashi, back in charge at Peterborough Sports and
Yes.
getting a 2-0 win away at Alfreton, which would have been a real sickener and a sinker for Alfreton, wouldn't it? Given their situation, their games in hand will be their big hope still.
I'm so sorry, Rob. I was just laughing at this comment from Sam. Post up is the poll. It just cracked me up. It just proper cracked me up, that. But we do have another league to talk about. What I'm going to do, Morgan, I'm going to leave Rochdale and York till last because we do have a lot of comments and back and forth in there. So we will talk about the rest of the league first. I'm going to come to you first, Ben. Any on here you want to give a mention to?
I think I've got to go with the top one, Wealdstone 5, Solihull Moors 1. We sort of spoke about was Sam Cox being let go, maybe a bad decision, given that, the overachievements he's had over the course of the season, really, when they were actually at one point contending for the playoffs. But I think Joe's always alluded to it, that, they always seem to make smart decisions for the reason. That's why they stay in this league, for the amount of time they have so far. I mean, this would be 6 years now they would have been in the division, which is an incredible achievement for getting a club. I think that's still part-time. So, look, I think they've done tremendously. Look, they're back into the top half of the table against a Solihull side that have been, rejuvenated. I know they've slipped up a little bit recently, but they score a lot of goals, Solihull, and, and to score 5 past them, Wealdstone. I think with those sort of sides, we always say that you need to make your home form count, because away from home, it's always going to be difficult. I always said that about Truro as well. But look, for Wealdstone, they're just about, just about staying within touching distance now, really, of safety, really. I think one more win and that secures their football in the division again, which I think a lot of us, if not maybe all of us, predicted the fact they'd go down at the beginning of the season. I think they're always one of those regulars you'd always expect.
Yeah.
But they have overachieved massively this year. If the season finished for them now and finished in 10th place, that's an incredible achievement for a club of their stature. And that, this is what good ownership does, because they can see things. They know how this league works. They know about how players reacts to management, and maybe it just felt like a change was needed just to get him over the line. And look, football is a results business. You've got to do what you've got to do to stay in these divisions, because the amount of money you lose by going down is astronomical. But yeah, what a win for them, and certainly be motivated going into the last sort of 7-8 games for them, where now hopefully they can get that 1 or 2 more wins they need just to really make sure that they are in the National League again.
And it's been a really good week for Wealdstone as well. Obviously, getting the extended lease on their ground, got the FA Trophy as well on the 28th, which potentially means that they could get to Wembley. So it's all going really well for them at the moment. Apart from, obviously, as we're on air, I see that Wealdstone have put a statement out to say that one of their players, Saka-san, has taken part in that other Sky TV nonsense league.
Oh, you're joking.
And that he wasn't permitted to play, and that he never got permission from the club. So certainly a fly in the ointment for Gary Wallett to try and sort out. But it's been a really good week for them. As for Solihull Moors, I think they've got the deck chairs, the bucket and spades, everything out. They're on the beach. Yes, they're not mathematically safe, but I think when you're getting their owner going out and selling their captain to try and get a few more coffers, to try and, given the position they're in letting James Clark go to Boreham Wood, I think they feel themselves that they're probably safe enough away from the bottom 4. I think we saw this a couple of years ago. I can't remember which season it was, that when they had Neil Ardley and they'd petered away in mid-table, that they allowed a couple of their players to go. I know Darryl Eales gets a lot of criticism at Solihull Moors, but I think as a businessman and financially speaking, I think he's very clever. So they would have lost James Clark either to the Football League or a higher National League team in the summer for free because he's out of contract. So they feel it's a good opportunity for them to cash in. And for Bournemouth, they've got a terrific player in James Clark, someone who's played centre-back, but predominantly right-back. Obviously, they lost Jeff King recently going back to York. So they needed a right-back to compete with Cameron Cox, and they've got arguably one of the best in the division in James Clark. So really astute capture for Bournemouth.
Just a quick footnote, if I might, and I know we can't all have a talk about every game, but I think honestly, Shah, if you'd have come to me, Ben or Joe, and I can't speak for Morgan, but we'd all have gone with this one for so many reasons. I just want to say what a manager Wealdstone have got in Gary Waddock. I mean, you could look and say, I'm bound to say that. He restored Aldershot Town to the promised land, didn't he? In 2007, 2008, it was a record number of points at the time, 101. Gets smashed every year now. You boys will be your teams will be going by it in a couple of weeks. But but no, what a man, what a record in football, what an absolute gentleman. And it'd be amiss of me at this stage not to say that we snared him for our pod yesterday. It came out late last night, early this morning. The first 20 minutes or so is a chat with that man. We push him, we reluctantly get him talking about Wealdstone being a stone's throw from Wembley. But of course, he's super professional and focused on those league games before then. But he does talk how emotive he felt about his old club Aldershot getting to Wembley last year and winning. And I love that. I know there's loads of players, loads of managers that have got previous clubs, but when they've really got to you, when you've really fallen in love, you don't fall out of love. And so even though he wasn't involved, he was involved with Walsall, wasn't he, last year? Gary Waddock, he absolutely loved that moment for Aldershot. And that the best thing about that, Joe, was seeing that emotion come out of him, because Gary is notoriously hard to get emotion out of. He's one of those really astute managers. When he talks to media, he can speak articulately and fluently, and end up afterwards you think, did he really tell me anything there? Do you know what I mean? But we got that out of him. It's well worth a listen. And while I mention it, because I won't plug it again, one of your boys, Morgan, Malachi Fagan Walcott, on that pod as well, spoke to him after the game. Right, I'll shut up now.
What a player. What a player he is. I'm actually jealous. I'm actually jealous, honestly. He's one of my favourites. I know we'll get onto him a little bit later. He's one of my favourite players in the whole of this league, Fagan Walcott. We've got as well, listen to NL Full-Time Podcast today. Gary Waddock spoke really well. Merritt has
Thank you, Merritt.
Oh, who do I come to next? Joe, I'm going to come to you. Any on here you want to give a mention to?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Boston against Yeovil. I think every year around this stage, I always tip one team to sort of be the dark horse for the following season. And I think if Boston can keep Paul Hurst, allow him to go and add a couple of really good players and try and retain the core of their squad, I wouldn't put Boston too far away from that top half and maybe a playoff push next year. I think since he's come in, they've definitely been playoff form, been brilliant, playing with a real confidence. Tom Curzons has been a fantastic addition on a permanent deal. I'm surprised they managed to get him, someone that was brilliant at Ilkeston. Obviously took his chance in the Football League with Harrogate. And a 2-1 win there. Frankie Maguire, someone that I tipped for a Football League move last summer, and I'd be amazed if he doesn't get one this year. Has been probably their standout this season. And a 2-1 win at home against a Yeovil team who are just struggling for wins. Obviously, as we got there, Luke McCormick out for the season, which is a real blow. Someone that's been terrific under Billy Rowley in terms of that number 10 role, creating for them. They don't score that many goals, Yeovil, albeit they did sign a striker in the week, Miller Matthews-Lewis, someone that Ben and I would have seen this season for Hemel Hempstead. Got a move to Burton Albion. Hasn't actually played for them yet, but signed for Yeovil on Friday. And what's quite funny really is Yeovil Town fans said in the week, and have been saying for a long time, that they need to go and sign a striker. Aaron Jarvis is not finding his scoring boots, and then Aaron Jarvis goes and scores. So it's funny in football how things like that work out. But yeah, I think Yeovil will be fine. I think they will go out and add a couple of players before the deadline, because I think they are a little bit short in a couple of areas. Obviously, they lost Declan Skura recently back to Wickham. But yeah, for Boston, mightily impressive. And another manager that just goes about his business quietly, doesn't make any noise or fuss, and has got them playing some really nice stuff and getting results.
Completely agree with that. Rob, I'm going to come to you, but at the minute, you're not allowed to talk Aldershot.
My pleasure. This one's going to shock you, but they're on my mind a little bit, because Shots go there next Saturday, and it's only 15 miles up the road, and it feels really odd that we're going to play them in March and not Boxing Day and New Year's Day, but Woking. Kiss goodbye to Neil Ardley, and then I might be wrong I might stand corrected on this, but I think it's 3 wins and a draw.
2 wins, 2 draws.
2 wins and 2 draws. Thank you very much, Morgan. Under Craig Ross and Jake Hyde. And from the outside looking in, I'll have a better idea of this on Saturday. But it looks to me like the handbrake's off. It looks like they've had a fresh start, a new lease of life. As Joe pointed out on our pod at the weekend, they have some good players. You look at the players who scored the goals for Woking this weekend. They are good players. 1 or 2 of them have been out with niggling injuries through the season as well. One of them, Matt Ward, he's always impressed me when I've seen him. He'll be a real danger at the weekend. And they really put Brackley to the sword, didn't they? Brackley's goal only was a 90th minute consolation. So Woking fly in. It's not so much what they're going to do this season. I think they were probably going to be safe anyway, and they probably weren't and aren't going to push for the playoffs. They will, of course, want to finish above Aldershot, and they'll know going into Saturday that Aldershot can't go above them even with a win. But, doff the cap to Woking and what they're doing just now, they're really starting to go through the gears and show that on their day they can be a good side. For Brackley, they look the most likely of the sides that are tumbling down to fall into that bottom 4. And with the head of steam that the likes of Morecambe and Gateshead are trying to get up at the moment, they're in serious danger.
Just to add on that, Rob, I've got Woking's fixtures up here. So they lost 2-1 to Sutton, 3-0 to Rochdale, 1-0 to Marine, and I think that was when Ardley got sacked. Since then, 2-2 draw at Boston, 3-1 win against Tamworth, 2-2 draw at Boreham Wood, and a 4-1 win against Brackley. So since Ardley got sacked, when his last 3 games, they scored 1 in 3 games. Since he got sacked, they've scored at least 2 in all 4 games. So Craig Ross has clearly unleashed them and said, go enjoy yourselves, go play some football, go score some goals. And it's worked. Obviously, this weekend they're flying. Brackley have lost 8 in a row now. And I think the person that deserves most, or that comes across really well here, is Gavin Cowan, because he went to Shrewsbury and I think he's been doing really well in the Football League since. Did he? Perfect. Brackley have been free falling, and I know their defence was excellent. I know I wrote a piece about it back in about November time. Their defence is really good. He's gone, and they keep leaking goals, 8 losses in a row, and it just seems to be they're looking like they would finish about 17th, 18th, be a good first season in National League, a change of manager, and they've just been in free fall. So I think they are the ones to go down, because I don't understand how you plug that and turn your form around with this little. Like Gateshead have been picking up form, Morecambe have looked slightly better. It's a scrap down there, and Brackley are in free fall. So I don't see how I know there's a lot of football to be played, but you need something kind of drastic to turn your form around with so little football left with 8-10 games to go.
Yeah, and I think the point there that's made that Andy Wing is surely better. I agree. I think he's a good coach. I thought he perhaps deserved a little bit more time at Barrow. Obviously, since he's left, they've hardly shot up the table. And in fact, actually gone the opposite way. Solihull did a good job at Solihull Moors, did brilliantly at Banbury. But I think he is on paper, it seemed like a really good fit of all the people that were available, albeit he's taken over a Brackley team who, for his credit, Gavin Carron, he was a fairly defensive manager. He likes to win 1-0 as opposed to win 4-3. And there is a team that are set up to do that. We've obviously seen it with Carron at Shrewsbury so far, in that same vein. But Andy Wing's a manager that will want his teams to go out and win games 4-3. They've played probably 5 or 6 different systems already, be it 3 or 4 at the back, trying different things and trying to play on the front foot. And there comes a time, certainly in this need, where you think potentially, how do I get the best out of this players that I've got at my disposal? I'll park my ideas and what I want to do until the summer if I get the opportunity to implement that. At the here and now, Brackley need to get results, and they managed to get results early in the season by being difficult to beat, keeping clean sheets and getting the odd goal and making it difficult for teams. Whereas I think at the moment, you'd probably say that Brackley Town are probably the easiest team in the league to play against because they're just so open, so fluid, defensively look nothing like what we expected from them. I think that's where it's going to be a really big test for Andy Wing now is, does he have that within his locker, so to speak, to say, do you know what, I'm going to go back to what was working before I turned up, try and get a couple of results on the board. And if we get that, then I can start to implement 1 or 2 ideas. But ultimately, if he keeps going down this route of, I'm going to put new ideas in every game, try and play on the front foot, he'll probably end up being a National League North manager next year. So he's got to find that balance.
Don't write him off just yet, Andy Wing. You don't get to the National League playoff final. And I'm not saying you're doing that, Joe, by the way. You don't get to the National League playoff final. You don't get to the FA Trophy final. Admittedly, he lost both those finals, but he got to Wembley twice with Solihull. And let's remember, before people do write him off, John Coleman lost his first 5 games in charge of Aldershot, didn't he? And then went on a run of 9 wins out of 12. So, I think he'll get it right. Hopefully he'll get it right in time to keep Brackley in because, listen, I've no allegiance to them and Aldershot go there in a few weeks and I want us to beat them. But Brackley have had one of the longest, most painful journeys ever up to the National League, finishing in the playoffs 5 or 6 times out of 7 years. And they don't want to go down at the first time of asking, do they?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Who do I come to next? Do you know what, Ben? I'm going to come back to you. Any others on here you want to give a mention to?
I think I've mentioned Tamworth, to be fair, 2-1 win over Carlisle United. I think Andy Peaks has done a great job there to get one over Mark Hughes there, really. I mean, Tamworth, look, they've, again, another club that have sort of, again, overachieved, they're top half of the table. Again, look, they're only their second year in this division and they're still having to, still adapting to it. But against one of the big hitters this year, they have been at the moment the best of the rest so far. Obviously, be taking obviously the top 2 out of it. And it's a hard venue to go, obviously, on the 3G surface for any team in this league. And, they adapt well to play against some of the top sides. Again, for Tamworth, they would have looked at this as a free hit for them. Try and get a couple of scalps because, again, a bit like Wealdstone, they're probably 1 win away from securing football in the division again for another year, which is another fantastic achievement for a club of their size. That's certainly a great 3 points. They're too far off the playoffs again, same like Wealdstone, but it's just making sure now can they get a top 10 finish. I mean, that's what them and Wealdstone will be looking at now. But 2-1 win over Carlisle and Dents there, they're sort of, well, I wouldn't say they're playoff hosts because obviously they're going to comfortably be in the playoffs, but they're still hanging in there. And to be honest, getting to the point now, we've said with Carlisle is, as soon as possible, because obviously now Rochdale and York have secured their playoff spots now at least, haven't they? So soon get to a point where Carlisle can probably look at it and start go for a few games. We can probably rest a few players here and there just to keep them fresh. For the end of the season drama, but it's a hard balance, isn't it? When Marquis probably wants to keep playing the best side to keep it ticking over, but you have got to look at the bigger picture and thinking that you could be 2 or 3 games away from getting back into the Football League, and they have that advantage in comparison to Rochdale and York, where they're both fighting each other, one another for the title. So, they're probably in one of the best positions to be at the moment.
Definitely. And this made me laugh. Give us time. Give us time. We've covered most of these games. We get into it. But so obviously that Morecambe game, genuinely thought Morecambe had it at one point, but then the goalkeeper comes up. What an assist, by the way, may I add. What a great assist. Good finish as well. What do we make of that game? Did anybody catch it?
Great
I
finish,
caught obviously the goal.
Yeah.
it was
Hell of an assist, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he's got previous for that. He scored in the National League Cup as well,
Yeah.
Mason Terry against Truro. So I think he quite fancies himself as a bit of an outfield player. And given that they struggle for goals,
he's literally their best player. I mean, it's ridiculous he's doing it at the other end now. He got the man of the match 4 games running for them. Incredible, really. Yeah, I saw it. I watched it. I was blown away. I looked at the live league table, and I'm always saying in commentary when Shots fans are messaging in, I don't look at live league tables. I don't talk about it, but I did. And Morecambe were out of the bottom 4. Something that a lot of people thought they'd never even do by the end of the season, let alone with this many games to go. But that equaliser changed everything. And who would be, we felt for you, Jen, who would be, and all those other Morecambe fans, who would be a Morecambe fan? What a roller coaster of emotions you go through at that football club. And of course, it's only going to ratchet up a bit more as the season goes on. Incredible. And it's the second time it's happened to them, because York did something similar to them, didn't they? They battled away, defensive rear guard, down to 10 men. Looked like they were going to get a point against York, and York scored really late on. But yeah, let's not leave Lewis Walker out of it. That was brilliant. A good pass from the goalkeeper, but he just chested it down, volleyed it straight in, made it look easy. But what a big goal that could prove to be for Braintree.
Yeah, I mean, how many times will we see normally a player get in that situation under pressure and smash it into the stands over the bar? The composure to pick out that top of the net. So yeah, good finish. And it's almost this time of the season where we start thinking about sort of team of the seasons and that type of thing. And obviously, I think most people will probably have Ollie Watmuff down as one name that you'd look at for that goalkeeper spot. But definitely Mason Terry is one of those 100%. That's in the conversation. For me, my standout goalie is neither of those. So you'd have to wait for that one. But I think he has been terrific. And if Braintree do stay up, a lot of people are writing them off. I wouldn't write Steve Pitt off. Good coach. Yes, they're in the bottom 4, but he'll keep fighting. They've got a good spine of their team. Players like John Akinde, always handy for a goal.
Trying to get it out of you, Joe.
It's not Harrison Mayle, but yeah, another good goalie. But I don't. It's a weird situation for Braintree because I actually don't think there's any pressure on them. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago on the it is Joe Ward.
That was easy, wasn't it?
I think I said a couple of weeks ago on NL Full Time that Braintree don't really have any pressure on them, as weird as it sounds, because if they go down, I think most people expect you, well, you know what, you've had a good go of it. You've got probably the lowest budget in the division and really low resource, and you've given it a go and just fallen short because you don't have the quality. I think there's more pressure on the likes of a Gateshead or Morecambe with the players that they've got and the managers that they've got with the experience. So, Braintree will give it a good go, and who knows?
Just from a Morecambe perspective as well, I just wanted to quickly touch on them because I know there was a lot of people uncertain about Jim Bentley coming in. There was a bit of a mixed one. Like, all Morecambe fans were absolutely buzzing about this appointment. People at other like teams, especially Rochdale fans in particular, because of the experience we've had with Jim Bentley, we're a little bit unsure. But I just wanted to give him credit because he has tightened them up. Apart from that Gateshead game where it was 4-4, both teams were going for it at the end of the day. They wanted that win, didn't they? But how he's tightened that defence up, and I've said it time and time again, he has just brought simplicity back to Morecambe. He's not playing a system and fitting players into a system that isn't working, where a lot of them are open. He's brought Liam Hogan in, who I think is an excellent signing at the back, a lot of experience, great in the dressing room as well. He's one of them players that he will hype everybody up. He'll also pick them up when they're down as well. But I just wanted to shout out Jim Bentley because I think he's doing a fantastic job. And Morecambe, no matter what happens, can be really proud of this fight that they're putting up now. And I know we shouldn't say if only, but if only it would have been done that little bit sooner. You never know what could have happened, but it's done now. What's done is done. But I just wanted to say what a great fight they are putting up. And not just Morecambe, obviously. We do have Luke in the chat. Gateshead as well. He has sent in his match reports. Bear with me, everyone. He sent in 2, by the way, so we'll read both of them out. So his first one was Southend away. Amazing point. On the point, I have to say, honestly, against a playoff chasing side on a Tuesday night, we will take the points here and there as it comes against teams in the top 7. And he has also put Sutton at home, great performance and fighting spirit from our players. Just amazing to see the fight back in the players, but ended in a disappointing result. And he's also mentioned 15 points from 8 games. We have to cut the gap to 2 points from us and saved it. This could be happening for us. Do you know what? It's really good to see, to be fair, though, because how down in the dumps was Luke a few weeks ago? So it's brilliant to see. And he's also put, we've got Wealdstone at home tomorrow. This is a good chance to get out of the relegation zone for the first time in months, depending on results.
Yeah, you'd have to say that one of those two, Morecambe or Gateshead, I doubt very much both, but one of those two might just survive now. Could be a great escape for one of them.
Don't see how they both drag 2 teams down with them. I think there's space for one of them in the National League next season. And it's not fun when you know, obviously we know Jen and we know Luke through the chat. It's not fun knowing one of your friends and people that you know is going to be relegated, because we've all gone through relegations. It's a horrible thing to deal with. The fight that they've both put up with, like Shara, as you were saying, Morecambe were going down with an embarrassing whimper. You had fans of clubs that didn't really know anything about Morecambe laughing at the interviews that are being given every week. Jim Bentley, you cut him open and he bleeds Morecambe. So they are going down. If they do go down, it's with a bit of fight. Like they fought against us, they fought against Braintree. They are picking up wind. They went 4-4 with Gateshead and they went for it. Like if they go down, you can say thanks, Jim. You gave us a bit of hope for a few months.
No, definitely. I completely agree with that. And it's nice to see them, obviously, these teams now, because similar to what we were like with Hereford, where we were thinking, oh, they've not got a chance, they're definitely down. It's nice to see them obviously getting that momentum and putting up that fight. It really, really is. Just really quickly as well, Chris has made a point. Hartlepool travelled down to Truro, getting a win that was needed. A very long journey, but they did get that win. I'm going to talk now, obviously, about the Aldershot game and the York game. First of all, Rob, I'll get it from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the fascinating thing for me that I really want to talk about tonight is having looked at Rochdale and York in the last couple of weeks. So I think I'm well placed to sort of make some comparisons, and I'm fascinated by who's going to win. What can I say? It's Groundhog Day at the moment for John Coleman and Aldershot. They have done more than enough in periods in all 4 games against the 4 of the top 5 they've just played to have scored goals, to have nicked a point here or there, but they've all gone against us. And the main pattern has been Forest Green aside, because Forest Green were brilliant in the first half. The other 3 games against Rochdale, against Carlisle and against York, Aldershot have begun well on the front foot. They've had a few chances, not many. There's only a couple on Saturday, Morgan, but one on 7 minutes, one on 14, very presentable chances. And I just wanted to, my frustration was I wanted to see how could Aldershot get on against one of the top sides if they got the lead, if they got the crowd going, the little bit of belief in the stadium, and we never had that moment, and that has hurt almost as much as going on to lose those games. York were excellent. They were classy. They were cohesive. I loved their fluidity, whether it's their centre-back, Malachi Fagan-Walcott, giving a little nod and a wink to Jeff King and disappearing off up the right wing, whether it's Ollie Pearce playing the Harry Kane role, dropping back so deep to come and get on the ball. They just don't look as if they have a weakness. And I'll add in a comparison. Rochdale just looked like they didn't have a weakness. They didn't have a weak link. They were excellent. Classy strike from Ollie Banks. Thoroughly deserved the win. 3-0 is about right for me. I've heard different perspectives from the two managers. John didn't feel it was a 3-0, and Stuart Maynard felt that they were good for probably a few more goals. No real issue with either of those. Very impressed with York, as I was with Rochdale. Let's try and find a few comparisons. Aldershot created more chances against Rochdale, 5 or 6 in the first half against them, and Rochdale ultimately put that game to bed with 2 very classy finishes from Dias Arue. And I think that sort of backs up what we know and what we feel. At Rochdale, very hard to score against, but they've got classy players who can put the ball in the net over at some point. And York, well, you might as well rename them York in brackets 3 City, because it's near enough 3 every week, Morgan, isn't it? Classy win. I still can't really call it. Head probably just says York. Heart, as you know, says Rochdale. And I can't really give you any more clearer pointers than that, other than to say I think it's going to the wire, and I expect it will. And a little bit of me wants it to. A little bit of me, Shard, worries about your heart on that day, and
it's more my stomach issues, Rob.
yeah. And to be fair, a little bit for Morgan too. I mean, I do like you both. I just happen to like your club, Shah, a little bit more, but I will not say a negative word about York after Saturday. Absolute class from start to finish. Morgan, what was your take on it? I think you watched it, didn't you?
I watched the last 20 minutes in the pub, and I've watched the highlights since. Whoever did the commentary should be doing the World Cup final this summer, by the way. Great commentator. But from watching the highlights, obviously the last 20 minutes of the game was done at that point, but from the highlights, it was a closer game, and it was won by a wonder strike from Ollie Banks that you can't really account for from either side. Neither manager can do much about that. A slight defensive mishap at the back post, where if that defender times his jump just a little better, he heads that past Alex Newby, doesn't finish it. And then the third one, it's quite a young centre-back, isn't it? The guy who gave the ball away.
Oh no, it's experience. Will Nightingale. He was actually our best player on the day, but like we were desperate. We were 2-0 down. He was trying to take on your bloke, beat him, and start an attack. He held Greg, up for that.
Greg Ollie takes it off him, and Josh Stones taps it in for the 100th goal of the season.
Sorry.
Slime ball. What have I said now?
I think that's about the comment about the commentator needing that.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
If you know, you know, and it was a funny remark. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it felt closer. Like 3-0 felt a little generous. Like I know there's sometimes I think we put 4 past Gateshead, 4 past Truro, with 3-0 up against both of them, I think within the first half an hour, and it felt really obvious that we were miles better than 3-0 seemed to flatter us. I know there's we beat Rochdale by 3 clear goals as well, and that didn't feel
all
like
right.
a 4-1 game.
That was a long time ago now, Morgan.
I'm sorry, I had to put that in. I'm so sorry.
I've been quiet today.
Yeah, I know you have. But now 100 goals up, which is always nice. I think the record's about 123, something like that, and we need to basically just keep doing what we've been doing. We need like 2.5 goals per game between now and the end of the season.
Oh, only 2.5?
Only 2.5, which is what we've been doing all year, I think, when you do 100 by 38 games. So I think we just have to keep doing what we've been doing. We'll break the record. It'll be horrible to break the record for most points finishing second in the season and most point and most goals scored, and will make the national news for not getting promoted for a second year running, because I'm ready for that BBC Sport article of look at this National League team that failed to get promoted 2 years in a row because Bournemouth will beat us in the playoff semi-final. But I'm preparing my heart for that already, and the social media blackout that will come with it.
Final point on it, from me anyway, and then obviously we need to get on to Rochdale, don't we? But spoke with Dave Ward, who does your commentary for BBC York before the game. Always love meeting up with Dave. He's great on the spaces we do as well. And I said to him, given just how well York have been doing, given that they went on a 24-25 match unbeaten run, given they're scoring 3 goals every week, given that, as he said, if we turn up, we win. He said, I know it sounds arrogant, but if we turn up as a team, we win. I said, given all of that, are you a bit surprised that Rochdale have stuck with you toe to toe right through this title race? And he had to admit yes. But he did admit that his main reason for saying yes is because when he's seen Rochdale up close and personal against York, he hasn't been that impressed. But the rest of the season, when he's seen the goals, the games, he has been impressed. So I just think, Shah, that it is incredible, really, given everything they've got at their disposal, York City, and how good they are and how many goals they score. It's incredible that you've stayed with them and you're actually above them. I think that's a huge achievement. I know it's not the achievement you want. You want the big prize at the end of the season. But tell us about your game.
Yeah, just from that, what you mentioned, Rob, even going back to my predictions, I didn't have us to be, I had York through and through. Like, I thought they were obviously going to smash it. They're already smashing it. I had us to do well, but I didn't necessarily have us to do this well. And I didn't think we would be where we are in this position. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, are you shocked and stuff? I am also shocked at this point. But just the Eastleigh game, I say it every single time, week in, week out, but it was just a very, you'll all get it, a professional performance again. And we absolutely ran it. Brilliant goals, obviously. Manny Desiree yet again getting on the score sheet.
Current York player, by the way. If the Aldershot team sheet's anything to go by, did you see that? He made the York City team sheet, which I found quite funny.
Yeah, they're
honestly,
two number 9s. Yeah.
Gave me PTSD seeing that. I was like, what? I was like, York would be unstoppable at this point if he was there too.
There was a couple of mistakes on that as well. I think they put the wrong date on it or something. Like, you look at that team sheet, and the media manager, Aldershot, had a bit of a rough time with that.
I think. Listen,
it's easily done. It's happened to me a few times.
Yeah, listen, I think we all took it in good spirit. Everybody got a good laugh out of it. It went a little bit viral, didn't it? What I would say is we got 2 or 3 or even sometimes 4 young lads who are all doing a bit here and there voluntary at the minute. Aldershot are in a bit of a mess when it comes to the media manager situation. They've had the last 2 or 3 have all moved up to Portsmouth, to Ipswich, whatever. Understandably, cutting their teeth, going to a job where they get paid more money. And so there's guys coming in and out. There's not too much continuity. And yeah, clearly our last home game was against Rochdale, and somehow Manny Desiree got left on the team sheet. And my goodness me, York's front line was
good enough without him.
Good enough without him as well. Anyway, sorry, Shah. He wasn't there. He was at Eastleigh, and he turned up pretty soon, didn't he?
Yeah, honestly, it was, again, another great goal from Manny Desiree. He's just fantastic. I always compliment him. We all know what Manny Desiree can do. Very good assist. I think it was from Adi Barlow, who's someone who hasn't really been scoring as much as last season, Adi Barlow, but at the minute he is coming in with contributions and stuff, which is obviously really, really good at a real vital time for us. Second goal, oh my gosh, can we talk about this man? Because I have wanted to see this man play all season, from seeing him in that friendly at FC United. Casey Petit, I've heard fantastic things about him. I have seen the quality and the glimpses of him when he's come on, when he's played in them cup competitions. Unfortunately, his time has come due to the injury of Harvey Gilmore, which we didn't want, because I've said time and time again how much Harvey Gilmore has been a key player for us this season. Is out 5 to 6 weeks, which isn't obviously ideal, but when you've got someone like Casey Petit coming in, you don't necessarily miss him as much as we thought we would, similar to Sam Beckwith being injured and then Callum Perry obviously coming in. But Casey Petit is just excellent. And that goal he scored, I know in his interview, he said he did think it went a little bit further over the line. It was a little bit close, but what a strike by him. And I've said this time and time again this season, we have to get East, Gilmore and Petit somehow in that team. I've always said if we're going to do it, play Gilmore and Gilmore and Petit as your middle, and then when we've seen Ryan East pushed further forward in that more of attacking role, he's thrived. He did it this season against Gateshead. He scored a goal. He's done it previously in seasons when we've had injuries. Ryan East has thrived in that position, so maybe give Adi Barlow a break and push Ryan East up there and have Devante on the other side. Devante Rodney, sorry, talking as if I know them. Devante Rodney on the other side, and then Manny Desirue up front, because honestly, I feel so bad that Casey Petit is missing out at the moment, was missing out, because he's such a great player. And then he scores a goal, pretty much runs the game against Eastleigh, which he has been since he's come in, Casey Petit, and then brilliant assist by him. Straight on my favourite player, captain, magnificent, Ebanks Landell, a fantastic header. It's great to see him on the score sheet as well, because he has been exceptional this season, Ebanks Landell. I know the likes of Kyron Gordon and Sam Beckwith, when obviously he was playing, now Callum Perry are getting applauded, but nobody's really mentioning what Ebanks Landell has been playing like this season. And he's just so solid and somebody who I really, really rate at the back. So it was nice to see him get on the score sheet. But yeah, another fantastic performance. Going on to our game in hand tomorrow, it's going to be a really, really tough game in hand against Southend. I always speak about Southend and what a Kevin Mayer Southend team can do. I know they do have injuries at the moment, but I still wouldn't write them off. They want to get in the playoffs as well. I think they're just outside of the playoff positions at the moment, but they will be fighting, obviously, for that playoff position. But yeah, we will see what happens. I know there is a lot of talk in the chat as well, which I will get to.
Also, apologies, York fans, for being negative. I'm protecting myself mentally because I'm ready for it to happen.
So Danny did put previously, there are no York fans this week. They're all Southend fans, similar for Halifax now being Dale fans. I know Halifax really dislike us as well, but not tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I know very tight at the top. It's going to be a struggle for both. So this is obviously about the title race.
I do love how people calling it a struggle when it's two of the most consistent teams the National League's ever seen. Like, I put out a tweet when you beat Boston 1-0 saying, I'd love Dale to drop points. I just don't see it happening because McNulty deserves all this credit for how consistent you've been. And we've just hit 100 goals. Like, these are two of the best teams the National League's ever seen. It almost won't be a struggle, which sounds incredibly arrogant, but both teams are so good, so well built.
I'm not saying
well
anything. I'm saying
sure, you're right.
I'm not. Zip,
you can't
throw away the key.
I know, but like you can't disagree. Like these two teams are so good. Like we could both do what Notts County and Wrexham did, and it's slightly mental that like I don't know. I don't want to say it's not going to be a struggle, but like we feel so much better than the rest of the league. Without sounding arrogant, there's so much quality and so well coached that it should just be between us. But it's feel like I don't know. I'm waffling, but I don't know.
I'm not saying anything.
They're both so good teams.
You're trying to say 3 up. You're trying to say 3 up, Morgan. That's what you're trying.
I'm not because that needs to happen. That's a whole different conversation about financial restrictions.
But what you mean is as well is really. I mean, because it is only 2 up. It's making it that much more exciting of a title race, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, if 2 went up automatically, you would say, oh, I'd love to win the championship, but as long as we go up, I don't mind. You know.
Yeah. But no, the 3 up conversation is a whole different thing. I think I've got a weird standpoint on that, but that's not for right now.
I'm just going through all the comments, so do bear with me. This one made me laugh when we were all talking about, like, I can't remember the conversation. I think it was someone talking about Slough being a shithole, and I said the same about Rochdale. And then we've got Rochdale is okay. My first serious girlfriend and I had our first date at Hollingworth Lake near there. It's very nice, Hollingworth Lake, by the way. It's probably the only nice place apart from Spotland Stadium. Can we talk about York needing a third striker to come off the bench, please, later on? No, you don't need any more players. No, don't do it.
Just bring Callum Howe off the bench, stick him in the back, and shove him up, take him Walcott up top.
We'll put Brixie up top as well. I know he can hit a ball.
He hit the post quite late on Saturday. Yeah. I love Brooksy. I almost started writing a piece on him because his left foot. When we beat Carlisle, and my mate said, "Oh, they're going to beat us," and it's like, no, send Ben Brooks down the other wing and we'll beat him. And got an assist in 2 minutes.
Just going through some of these comments.
Love Brooksy.
We've got National League could have 1, 2, or 3 teams from North Shore. Yeah, I hope none.
Yeah, because Harrogate could come down and Scarborough could come up. We could have 3 teams. National
League,
which would be interesting.
This made me laugh. Merritt, please win tomorrow night. The people of York will love you forever. Not Southend, just Merritt. He's put evening from Southend, nervous, Shah. I am, to be fair. I go in, I'm one of them fans. I just take it game by game, like one step at a time. And I've always said, like, every single game I'm nervous for at this point. I know we're absolutely smashing it at the minute, but it's just so tough and you really don't want to drop any points because obviously York are so strong. So yeah, every game I'm nervous for, even though we do have that quality. This made me laugh as well because I think it was going on more about the budgets and the wages, but it made me think about that Scunthorpe penalty when it said Manny D isn't on pennies. But yeah, I think it was addressing more to obviously when we were talking about budgets, which made me laugh. When we were talking about Poe, he loves the way I say Tinky Winky. Tinky Winky.
Tinky Winky. So, yeah. Proper Manchester accent, isn't it?
Tinky Winky. This made me laugh from Sam because we have a personal joke going every time. Because obviously Sam lives near Eastleigh. Every time Rochdale come down, he always says that he boos like the Eastleigh players, which he doesn't, by the way, everyone. If there is an angry fan booing, I promise it isn't Sam. He has no alliances, by the way, just to point that out. But he has put rumours of some ruffian in Eastleigh booed the stadium every day on his way to work last week for the Dale win. Awful childish behaviour. Merritt has put, it just has to go to the last day of the season. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Please, no. Please, no. It does nothing for my anxiety, that. Beaten Rochdale twice already. May as well make it free. I'm not saying anything. Like I said, this time it may be different. You were all calling Manny Dooku when we signed him. You watch Manny Dooku. That would be karma for you lot after calling him. That would be funny. I would live for that. You'd never be allowed to pod with me again, Morgan, after that, because I'd mention it every time.
I wouldn't be on social media for the next 6 years.
We'll see you in a few years.
Yeah. The amount of bookmarks people have on my tweets, by the way. Like the amount of bookmarks people have on my tweets. If we don't go up, Jesus.
Who will come out on top? The attack versus defence. That is true. Everyone's been saying that throughout the season, haven't they? Both teams been amazing this season. It will be a crime if Rochdale or York misses out. It will. Also think Forest Green could slip out of the playoffs from what I see Saturday. They was very poor, but Southend did have their best display this season after 2 really bad performances at home.
Tomorrow night, Shah, you've got to mark Gus Scott Morris. The guy is hell-bent on scoring goals.
I know.
If you look at the picture on the front of the non-league paper or on the match report, whatever it was, the sinews stretched in his face, the joy on his face. You know, he doesn't even play or start in a forward position. And he missed a few games with injury this year, but he got 20 goals last year. He's not going to end up far short again. He is phenomenal. He has to be in everybody's team of the season. I don't know how
Very good
good he
player.
is really at defending, but he's bloody good at getting in the right place in front of goal.
No,
He can
it
strike a
really,
dead
really
ball
is.
as well. He scored some really good free kicks. Gus Scott Morris is fantastic.
No, it really, really is. I am very, very nervous for that game tomorrow, but it's one of them. Got to take it on the chin. It's in our own hands, and we will see what happens. That is all I'm saying. But
Congratulations, by the way, both Rochdale and York, not being Lala or Tinky Winky.
Or Dipsy. That's me. I'm Dipsy. Then again, I am a little bit la-la, aren't I, to be honest? It's my favourite colour as well, so I'll happily be la-la. But yes, the National League table. So at the moment, top of the table are Rochdale on 91 points. York City a second on 89 points. Carlisle a third on 75 points. Boreham Wood a fourth on 71 points. Scunthorpe a fifth on 67 points. Forest Green a sixth on 65 points. And FC Halifax have that last playoff spot at the moment. They are seventh on 59 points. And then in the relegation zone, 21st, we have Morecambe on 34 points. Braintree a 22nd, also on 34 points. Gateshead a 23rd, also on 34 points. And Truro are bottom of the National League on 25 points. Bear with me, everyone. My mouse isn't working. But yes, that is the end of the pod. It has been a long one. We have covered a lot tonight from all three of the divisions. I just want to say thank you for joining me, all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Ben, where can everybody find you?
If you want to
Apart
find
from winding up KSI.
if you don't want to be find up one up KSI, it's Ben Stones FC1 on Twitter.
Morgan, where can everybody find you on the socials?
At _Morgan_Bruce on Twitter and on Spotify. I know I've mentioned it on another podcast that we've done, but I've started a baseball podcast recently with a couple of my friends from the UK, and we've had weekly guests from the States. Recorded one last night. I didn't get into bed until about 1 a.m. last night. That was a late one. But yeah, really enjoyed doing that, and that is also being plugged on my Twitter at the moment.
Love that. Love that. As always, as well, it is in collaboration with the fantastic NL Fulltime. Rob, I will come to you first. Where can everybody find yourself and obviously the podcast socials?
At NL Fulltime for the pod, or just whatever podcast platform you use. Just put in NL Fulltime. Weekly pod out usually late on a Sunday evening. Gary Waddock and Malachi Fagan-Walcott on it, and myself at RobShot66. Thoroughly enjoyed tonight. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, Joe, where can everybody find yourself and your fantastic work as well? And plug your book again. We love it when you plug your book.
Yeah, Off the Line blog on Twitter. And yeah, Off the Line blog as brilliantly modelled by Morgan. I got a nice message in the week that Casey Petit's dad is actually reading the book at the moment.
Good old Gary.
Yeah, good old Gary.
Love
Yeah, go and get that if you want.
As well. NL Fulltime is the nuts. Rob, Joe, and Dickie are top drawer. Maybe not Christian.
Yeah, Christian's he's missed a few lately. That's probably why.
Oh, it cracked me up that. Obviously, we love Christian too. He's also put that Bedford manager is nuts though.
Definitely. He'd like that as well. He'd like the fact that we called him the nuts.
I love that. Love that. And of course, if anybody does want to follow me, I am SharXRAFC. That is on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. My channel, I haven't been doing too much on my channel at the minute because I've just had quite a lot of stuff on. I will be doing a Let's Talk Rochdale very soon, I promise. But if you do want to follow my channel, it's Ball and All with Shah. That is on YouTube, and it's Ball and All _ that is on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I'm currently, because I've only just finally got my hands on the EFL sticker book. So I've been unpacking my stickers like a big kid and doing like a following my journey, but it's really fun. Really fun. I'm living for it.
Brilliant. It's good that great. Welcome back to your voice this week as well, by the way.
I know. It might not be back though if we beat Southend. I was tempted to do a watch along and then I thought, no, I might not, just in case I don't want to get cancelled. Luke has popped in as well. Hey up everyone, what a win for the Shaman. Shah, we need you to do us a favour tomorrow. Come on, Dale. Oh, I love that, Luke. And as I always say, we need to get you on here. Come on. Putting you under pressure now. But of course, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. On Twitter, we are Absolute Ball Pod. YouTube and Twitch, we are Absolute Football Podcast. TikTok, we are Absolute Football Pod. Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky, Absolute Football. And on Facebook, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. And we have 4 live shows a week. Obviously, tonight on a Monday, we cover all things absolutely non-league, National League North, National League South. And as I've already mentioned, in collaboration with a fantastic NL Full Time. On a Tuesday, it's all things Premier League football. Sam will be a very, very happy man because Manchester United won again. Michael Carrick is smashing it at the moment. So yes, definitely go and check that out tomorrow. We always have a smiling Sam anyway, but it'll be extra smiley tomorrow. Freya and Team Chaos cover all things on a Wednesday. Absolutely women's football from the WSL to WSL2. And of course, I am back on a Thursday with the Rowdy Rabble. Anything can happen on that show. I promise it's not me. I'm not the bad influence, I promise. But yes, it's all things EFL football from the Championship, League One and League Two. But as always, thank you to each and every person that has interacted with us tonight. It's been absolutely brilliant talking football to you. Hope you all have a lovely week and hopefully up the Dale. Bye, everyone.